Rich Ingold of the Detroit Drive is the all-time leading passer in arena football. Ingold has led the Drive on an 8-game winning streak and into the Arena Bowl final. He does a lot of things for you, like run with the football when he needs to. His 4th rushing touchdown of the year last week against the Pittsburgh Gladiators. He's completed nearly 55% of his passes, and in Dwayne Dixon, he has the Iron Man of the Year. 1st in receptions, 2nd in tackles in 1988. Ingold also has one of the fastest men in arena football, and that's George LaFrance, the 2nd leading kick return man. The Detroit Drive, with the victory over the Pittsburgh Gladiators 34-25, have advanced to the Arena Bowl. They'll meet the Chicago Bruisers, led by the league's MVP, Ben Bennett, the 2nd leading passer this year with 49 touchdowns. Last week, Bennett led his team over the Los Angeles Cobras. Bennett can do so many things for you. A beautiful touch underneath. He can throw the long bomb. And here he finds the smallest man in arena football, Reggie Smith, on a 20-yard touchdown reception. Billy Stone returned last week after a 6-week absence. He rushed for 2 touchdowns. Stone, along with Osei Lewis, a real force in the potent Chicago running game. But when you want points, you go to the top scorer in arena football, and that's Carl Akins. And Bennett and Akins have hooked up many, many times this year. Chicago beat Los Angeles 29-16 last week. And tonight, they meet in Arena Bowl 88. Coming up next, Detroit and Chicago. In Rosemont, Illinois, ESPN presents Arena Bowl 88. It's the Detroit Drive taking on the Chicago Bruisers. Tonight's championship is brought to you by your local Little Caesars, where you get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price. And by Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. These 2 teams met twice during the regular season. On the 19th of May, Chicago with a 35-29 victory. Then here at Chicago on May 27th, a 36-31 victory. 11 points separating the 2 teams at that particular point in time. But since that time, the Detroit Drive has won 8 consecutive games. Hi, everybody, and we welcome you to Arena Bowl 88. Along with former Seattle Seahawks wide receiver Steve Rabel, I'm Roger Twibel, and we welcome you to the final game of this arena football season. We have the 2 best teams, the top offensive team and the top defensive team. Steve, let's first talk about Detroit. Why the big turnaround for them? Why the 8-game win streak?
Well, I think after going 2-3 to start the season, Roger, Coach Tim Markham decided he had to make some changes. And what he decided to do was get some defensive players on his ball club. He had lots of offensive push, not a lot of guys who were skilled defensive players. And, of course, we all know it's easier to teach a defensive player to play offense than vice versa. So he went out and he got the likes of Randall and Corker and Mathis and Evans, and they've done a fine job for Detroit.
He has one player, though, on his team that plays on both sides of the football equally as well. And we talk about the Iron Man of 1988, and that's Dwayne Dixon.
This guy can do it all, and that's why he was named the Iron Man. He can go deep for the deep pass. He can catch the short stuff underneath, and, of course, he's the 2nd leading tackler in all of arena football. Ingold will be looking to him tonight, and he will get special coverage from Chicago. There's no question about it.
Meanwhile, defensively for the Detroit Drive, the big story has been the acquisition of John Corker, formerly of the National Football League and the USFL Michigan Panthers. He's no stranger to Detroit fans. He is a force to be reckoned with at 6 feet 6 inches tall.
Well, he's so tough to throw over when he comes on the rush straight up the middle. If he loops outside of you, he's tough to get around because he's so quick. Watch him on the sack here of Brendan Fulmer just a week ago against Pittsburgh. He's that kind of big play defensive player. He's also caught a couple of passes. He can catch them for touchdowns as well. He's got pretty good hands for a linebacker. So John Corker will be the guy to look for defensively for Detroit. But let's also remember he's been hobbled with a bad knee all week, has not practiced. We'll see how well he does tonight.
Since that 5th game of the season, Detroit was allowing some 40 points a game. While in the 8-game winning streak, their defense has been averaging Horizon. We'll take a look at the Chicago Bruisers as our coverage of Arena Bowl 88 continues in just a moment.
Yes, I'd like 2 of those pizzas.
Those pizzas? They'll be $17.99.
$17.99? But it says $10.99.
Not for those pizzas.
How can that be?
I think if you refer to the fine print.
Fine print?
Does not render vendor responsible.
May I help you?
Who are you?
I'd like to introduce our corporate attorney. He's here on a regular basis.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
At Little Caesars, you always get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price.
Pizza, pizza.
Only at Little Caesars.
Somewhere, right now, there's a clean, crisp, ice-cold, beechwood aged Budweiser with your name on it.
The embarrassing miscue, the performances at peak, the unusual antics, the plays of the week. Each Sunday night at 11 Eastern on ESPN Sports Center.
Give your kids the competitive edge in their favorite sports with America's best selection of instructional sports videos, only from ESPN. Regular $39.95, now just $29.95 each if you call 1-800-554-9000 right now. Top coaches in basketball, football, baseball, soccer, and tennis teach your kids the basics and help them develop a lifelong love for the sport and a winning attitude. Now on video cassettes that you and your kids can play again and again. Just $29.95 each, and only from ESPN Home Video. Coaches like University of Michigan's Bo Schembechler show your kids how to improve their game, add to their fun, and develop the right mental attitude. This 75-minute video is packed with fundamentals and exclusive coaching techniques. $29.95 never let you do so much for a kid. Call 1-800-554-9000 for teaching kids football or your free youth coaches catalog of videos, only from ESPN Home Video.
A sellout crowd here at the Rosemont Horizon tonight. As a matter of fact, they are turning people away at the door, so we'll have better than 12,000 here on hand tonight. The Chicago Bruisers, of course, are a football team that won the regular season title in Arena Bowl. But one of the interesting things about this team, Steve Rabel, is the fact that they didn't live by the pass. The run was a big part of their game.
Well, they've got a couple of guys who can run the ball. We talked at the top of the program, and of course an awful lot last week about Billy Stone coming back off of 6 weeks off to rush for 2 touchdowns. But the guy, for the majority of the season, who's carried this team is Osei Lewis, the big converted offensive lineman tight end who has moved into the backfield and just done a super job for the Chicago Bruisers.
So now besides Lewis, they have Stone back. It's a double potent offense, and they like to run the football when they're ahead.
Look for them to run when they're ahead. Also down inside the 10-yard line, they would much rather run the ball than try to throw a pass.
And of course, Lewis and Stone play both ways. They're also very tough linebackers. Defensively in the secondary for the Chicago Bruisers, they have one of the very top players in arena football, the leading man as far as interceptions are concerned, and that's Durwood Rockmore, who will finish this game tonight and immediately head to the Buffalo Bills.
They call him the Rock, and that's really all you have to know about Durwood Rockmore. He's a quiet kind of guy, but he comes up with the big plays, as he did here just 1 week ago against Los Angeles, the leaping interception. That's the kind of play he comes up with. He led the way in interceptions, led the way in tackles. Look for him to be on Dwayne Dixon tonight. What a great matchup that's going to be.
So we have the 2 top teams in arena football, the 2 teams with the best record, the 2 teams that sport the best defense and the best offense. Arena Bowl 88 is coming up from the Rosemont Horizon right after this.
Susan, can we talk?
Sure, Dad.
You notice anything different about Mom?
She's acting pretty wild for her age.
Well, I don't just mean the roller skates.
And the motor scooter. She even borrowed my new dress. Come on, Dad, what is it?
A balanced diet with the right vitamin nutrition helps people get more out of life. Some are finding Kellogg's Product 19. 100% of 12 vitamins and minerals. Feel good about yourself.
Not the, rubber dress.
Feel like 19 again.
Now, the final chapter, students, in Bosworth's book of etiquette. Personal hygiene. How will you separate yourselves from those barbaric hordes that exude a most malodorous air? New Ride Guard Sports Stick from Gillette. Maximum protection and a fresh new scent. A veritable old factory medley. New Ride Guard Sports Stick. Anything less would be uncivilized. Raise your glasses, gentlemen, to civilization.
In communities across America, there's a working spirit. People working together with a feeling of pride. Where that feeling exists, there's Dickies Work Clothes. America, it still works. Dickies, the brand it works in. Dickies, made with Celanese Fortrell polyester.
Pushing hard, breaking through, 'cause good isn't good enough for you. Wash and go.
It's shampoo plus conditioner in one. For control you can't get from ordinary shampoo.
You got it together.
Hair's clean, easy to manage.
Ready to roll. Wash and go.
Shampoo, conditioner in one.
We're back at the Rosemont Horizon in Rosemont, Illinois. We're just near the O'Hare Airport. There's the coin toss at midfield, and the gentleman, Steve, who tossed the coin, Paul Brenner, who attended the last indoor championship football game that took place in this country, was at Chicago Stadium in 1932 between Chicago and Portsmouth. The likes of Grange and Nagurski played, and Mr. Brenner was in attendance at that particular game, and so it seemed only fitting that for the next indoor championship game he be invited, and he tossed the coin. Now, Dietrich Farr singing America. So a stirring rendition of America by Dietrich Farr. You always like to hear that before a big event.
Well, you sure do. And as the players down there on the field, you can't wait to get out on the field after hearing it.
Earl Sorgan, Tony Viteri, Roger McMinn, Bob Mantooth, Jim Lapatina, and Tom Myers. Remember, in the playoffs last week and this week, a fifth and extra official.
Watching for things like looping by the linebackers, illegal defenses, those kinds of things.
We should say fifth official on the field. We have the zone official upstairs. Right. There is Perry Moss, the venerable head coach of the Chicago Bruisers. And Tim Markham, who was in the Arena Bowl last year as a head coach, but for another franchise.
For the Denver team. And the winning coach last year, Tim Markham.
And this is the first time since December 29th of '63 that a pro football championship has been decided in Chicago.
The last one was, of course, the Bears winning that championship.
I got to figure the Bruisers are just glad to be seeing somebody else than the Los Angeles Cobras. The last 3 games against the Cobras, a win, a tie, a loss, a win, and a loss, a tie, and a win. And, of course, the win got them here to the championship game.
Perry Moss feels that his team, the Chicago Bruisers, match up better, actually, against Detroit than Los Angeles. He says Los Angeles has far too much foot speed in the secondary, so he likes his chances even better against Detroit. He was a little nervous about Los Angeles.
And he also feels Detroit is a mirror image of his team. He feels that after the 2 consecutive beatings that he handed Detroit, that Tim Markham got smart and decided to do a lot of things that Chicago does. And Tim admits that they run a lot of the same plays, a lot of the same defensive sets, but of course the personnel is different, and Detroit has been the hottest team in the league.
The personnel is different, but the styles of the personnel very much the same. Some pretty good sized running backs. Chicago has the bigger offensive front, more team speed on Detroit's squad.
George LaFrance back to take the kid off the net. And he's going to get it out of the end zone, and he's knocked out at the 8-yard line. A dangerous play by George LaFrance, and there is a Chicago player down and getting up very slowly. That was Gene Rowell, and the Detroit offense looks like this. Rich Ingold, the quarterback, Walter Holman, pretty good running back in his own right. Greg Orton, Dwayne Dixon, LaFrance, Griffin, Stevens, and Mathis. Stevens and Mathis, the offensive linemen. Everyone else is eligible. Ingold goes up top to Griffin. Broken up by 21, Durwood Rockmore.
As we said, the Rock will draw the assignments each time on either getting the deepest receiver or the most spectacular receiver. That time he picked up Steve Griffin, who's pretty good pass catcher in his own right, just hasn't gotten a lot of pub because he's playing on the same team with Dixon, but Rockmore right on the spot.
Defensively, Faulkner, Raul Poe, Reggie Smith, Osei Lewis, Durwood Rockmore, Darrell Hart, and Carl Akins. 2nd and 10 for Detroit. LaFrance is in motion to the near side. And broken up once again by Durwood Rockmore. Rockmore played with the Kansas City Chiefs for several years and was at Buffalo last year. And he'll, from what we understand, go back to Marv Levy's crew because Walt Corey and Marv Levy had him in Kansas City.
They like his ability. They say not only can he play some defense, but certainly he can help them on special teams because, again, he's a fine all-around athlete. He's a very coachable young man as well, which is something that all of the coaches who have worked with Durwood Rockmore say about him.
Chicago, #1 in rushing defense on a 3rd and 10 with LaFrance in motion. In this game, you can break to the line of scrimmage before the ball snap. Dixon makes the catch. It's not going to be enough for the first down, though. Dixon across the 15 to the 17-yard line where McDade, #20, will bring him down. That's the Iron Man of 1988, Dwayne Dixon, #1 in reception, #2 in tackles. And, folks, he sews his own clothes. Not only his own clothes, but he also sews clothes for his teammates. He knits their undergarments that they wear, like a tank top and such under their jersey. Very versatile guy.
Is that right?
As Novo Bojovic to attempt the field goal. 50 yards is the attempt out of the hold of Ingold. That's a live football off the net. It's a live football. Detroit's got it at the 6-yard line. That is a live football, folks, off the net.
And it's Steve Griffin, number 22, who comes up with it. That ball bouncing directly into the field of play. Take a look from the other side of the field now. Watch. There's the Chicago receiver waiting to take it off the net. Low bounce right past him. Should have taken it in the air off the net and gave the Detroit Drive a great opportunity to get on the board here. Daryl Hart misplaying that ball in the end zone.
And that's what makes this game unique and a lot of fun are those nets, because anything can happen when they come and play. First and goal from the 6-yard line. LaFrance in motion. Holman is the running back, and they'll run with it. Holman, touchdown. And no, they're going to say he was down just outside the goal line.
This is a great opportunity for Detroit to not only put points on the board early, as we see Holman cutting back up inside, breaking through the tackle, and watch his knee will touch down there just before he gets to break the plane in the end zone. But getting ahead of this Chicago team is about the only way you're going to take this crowd out of the game. And this Chicago crowd is really wound up for this one.
There were so many arms going up at the goal line, it looked like it was a touchdown. LaFrance in motion again. Ingold sneaks in. That's his 5th touchdown of the year. Rich Ingold is not a spectacular quarterback. He didn't get the attention this year that Matt Stevens and Ben Bennett got, but he's a winner, and he's gutsy, and this is a good cutback move right there, Steve.
Well, his players really like him, his teammates, because he'll do just that. He'll put his head down and go out there and fight with the offensive lineman if he has to, and he is a team leader on this ball club. Markham likes him, and that's about all that counts if your head coach likes you.
He's from Indiana, Pennsylvania.
Right.
And Bojovic, who feels he has a score to settle because he did not make all-league kicker, knocks the first extra point up and through. That's a 9.5-foot wide goal there, folks. That's tough on those kickers. Detroit jumps out on top 7-0. We'll be back to Chicago right after this.
Ah, the natives are restless, building appetites at a fever pitch. It's summer hunger. Summer hunger. Unleash it at Burger King. Enormous summertime sandwiches, big burgers, a huge flame-broiled Whopper, icy cold Pepsi. Summer hunger. When it strikes, only Burger King can tame it.
Must be feeding time.
We do it like you do it at Burger King.
It was December 18th of 1932 because of terrible weather here in Chicago that they moved the football championship game between the Chicago Bears and the Portsmouth Spartans indoors. Portsmouth later to become the Detroit Lions.
And after the storm we had out here this afternoon, we're happy we're inside today as well.
That we are.
Nasty thunderstorm blowing through the Chicago area today.
Back deep, a host of receivers. You notice that Reggie Smith is not back there for Chicago. He's been hobbled. Carl Akins is 84, the man in the middle. And Novo Bojovic, who has signed with the Dallas Cowboys and will go to their training camp with a line drive kick. Akins cuts it to the middle, and he's stopped at the 17-yard line. Number 63, Reggie Mathis, known as the Chattanooga Choo-Choo when he wrestles professionally in the offseason with the stop. Bennett, that's Osei. Can you see Lewis? Jeff Faulkner, Carl Akins, Daryl Hart, Reggie Smith, Gene Rowell, and Billy Poe. And Reggie Smith has been hobbled with a severely bruised left thigh.
He's also got a little case of the turf toe, which is oftentimes more painful than any other injury you can have trying to run out here on the football field.
And Reggie is not in there right now. He did not start the game. Mike McDade, number 20, as Akins comes in motion. Bennett, 1st and 10, will go up top. Touchdown. Penalty marker is down.
And it's going to come back.
Akins made the catch. But I saw John Corker lying on the ground. And it's going to be a procedure call against the Chicago Bruisers.
And I saw Mike Clark, number 90, in the Chicago dark blue jerseys, complaining to the official. There you see Osei Lewis doing the same.
You don't talk to me like that.
Tate Randall was back on the coverage.
Illegal formation. The tight end did not report ineligible.
That was a call. The tight end, there are 3 offensive linemen. 1 is eligible. 2 are ineligible, and that third player has to report to the officials, say, yeah, I am eligible to receive a pass. One of the Chicago cheerleaders is being taken off the field. She got smacked on that last play with Akins making the diving catch. So 3-yard penalty in arena football. And folks, if this is possibly the first arena game you're seeing this year, 50-yard field, 8 yards in the end zone, and Akins with the catch. And ooh.
We got to tell her that she has to move off the field when the guys come flying directly at her.
First down, 13. McDade, the motion man. Bennett will go up top to Darryl Hart. Nearly intercepted by the Iron Man, Dwayne Dixon. And folks, the Iron Man award in arena football, with the exception of the quarterback, place kicker, and a defensive specialist, everybody plays both ways. As we take a look at Detroit defensively, Wiska, Relk, Corker, Walter Holman, George LaFrance, Dwayne Dixon, David Evans, and Tate Randall. And the Iron Man is chosen every television game here on ESPN. The player who performs the best on both offense and defense.
Keep your eye on number 88 in the white. Detroit drive. That's Corker. Again, hobbled with a knee injury, but the force on Detroit's defense.
Second down and 13. Bennett underneath. The intended receiver for Chicago is number 20, Mike McDade, a 6-foot, 180-pounder from Nevada, Las Vegas. The ball was thrown just a little bit behind him. He took a pretty good lick there, Steve.
He did, and he came up letting the defender, Tate Randall, know that he didn't like being hit when that ball was already out of his hands, and you can see that Randall just levels him. McDade, a pretty good receiver. Not a great deal of speed, pretty good hands, especially across that middle. That's one he should have had.
Bennett made All-League. He was also MVP. Akins made All-League. Jeff Faulkner, Durwood Rockmore, Marco Morales, all first-teamers for the Chicago Bruisers. 3rd and 13. Bennett finds his receiver on the far side. 84, Carl Akins is taken out of bounds by David Evans. A penalty flag is down, and a beautiful route by Akins. He knew how much he needed for the first down, and he got it.
And that looked like a call from the zone official. And that's what we're going to get. A call against Detroit.
Tate Randall was the call.
Playing a zone defense again in this game. You can't play zone. You have to go man-to-man.
Block, okay? Tell the goofy guy upstairs his man blocked, okay?
What he's saying, Tim Markham is saying, is that the receiver blocked, and so it freed up the defensive back, in which case that's why it looked like he was playing zone.
First down. Bennett, pass complete to the 15-yard line. Darryl Hart, 26, made the reception. Hart, a speedster out of Lane College in Tennessee. So, Steve, after going up top the first couple of times, he's come back to the short stuff.
Well, you got to go up top. Let them know that that's where you're going to go throughout the course of the game. You notice Detroit do the very same thing on the opening play. Go for that deep shot just to stretch everybody out. And now you start picking them apart underneath.
Clock runs continuously. 7:34 left to go. First quarter. Hart was the motion man. McDade. And he's tripped up at the 7-yard line. Tate Randall, number 29. A veteran NFL player out of Texas Tech who was signed mid-season. One of those defensive players that helped turn this year around for Detroit, makes the tackle.
And the arguing you saw there between the official and the Detroit drive players, watch this. We're going to watch the tackle be made here on Mike McDade. Now you're going to see number 50, Billy Poe, in the black jersey, come flying in and just smack George LaFrance and knock him into the pile. A little bit late hit.
It was a first down. It's 1st and goal now. From the 7-yard line, Osei Lewis. And LaFrance nearly had him at the 10-yard line. Lewis was able to turn it up, and we have a Detroit player down on the field. Take a look at Osei Lewis from Oregon State University. He was a quarterback in high school.
And did you see George LaFrance, number 27, come knifing in there? That's about the only way you slow down these Chicago backs, because they're so big and strong. You have to get them in their own backfield before they get up ahead of steam.
From Tucson High School in Tucson, Arizona, Osei Lewis. And Walter Holman is the injured player. Steve, he's grabbing his left elbow. It appeared as though on tackling Lewis against the boards over there, he suffered that injury. We'll return to Chicago. A timeout on the field.
I should have bought a Frigidaire.
There's only one Frigidaire.
I should have bought a Frigidaire.
Ask for it by name.
I'll take the Frigidaire. Now.
Frigidaire. Here today, here tomorrow.
Round of lights here.
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
Let me know when you're ready for another round.
August sizzles with sports excitement on ESPN. The NFL is back. See 4 live preseason showdowns. And golf swings into its final Grand Slam event, the PGA Championship. August serves up great tennis. Olympic hopefuls going all out in tune-ups for the summer games. And auto racing from the world's most prestigious track. Plus, live Wednesday night PGA Tour action. The heat is on in August on ESPN.
I'll tell you what, even the cheerleaders are tough in Chicago. She got the wind knocked out of her, left the field, now she's back. Young ladies Carl Akins and Tate Randall ran into.
Just a couple plays, ran off the field.
Yeah.
Tape and aspirin to it, back out here.
Bennett 3 of 5, 3 straight completions. The Chicago offense, well, #1 in rushing offense with just over 41 yards per game. And folks, in this football, that's a lot. 2nd down and goal. Hart in motion to the near side. Bennett the option. And he is down to the 3-yard line. And they want to fly. Corker was a little late coming in, and Corker's explaining to him that this is a physical type of game, and Detroit has another player down in the field. A little surprised by this call, Steve?
Not really, because we saw Bennett run the ball last week. I'm a little surprised that Ben didn't get up and try to smack John Corker. That's what I'm surprised about. Corker apologizes today. I fell down on top of you. I apologize. We talked about Detroit players being injured. That's one of them. John Corker's playing on a bum knee. But Detroit, definitely the team battling the injuries coming into this championship game. Chicago's pretty healthy.
3rd and goal, 5:35 to go, first quarter. Bennett across the middle. McDade, touchdown. Folks, that was the first touchdown reception this year for Mike McDade.
And could not have come at a better time for he and his teammates. Just a quick slant and just threaded in there beautifully by Ben Bennett. The only way you can throw that pass is on a line, and Ben put it right in there.
There was a cliche named after that pass, threading the needle, right?
That's right. That's right. And McDade doing a good job because he's got a lot to concentrate on back there, getting those feet down, avoiding the cheerleaders.
Well, he's taking Reggie Smith's spot, basically, because Reggie obviously with that thigh bothering him as Marco Morales makes the extra point. And with 4:46 to go, first quarter from the Rosemont Horizon in Arena Bowl 88. We're all tied up at 7 apiece.
Oh, yes, contemptible. I'm speaking of offending in the personal grooming arena. When seeking maximum protection and a fresh new scent, one should grab new Right Guard Sports Stick from Gillette. Antiperspirant and deodorant. Anything less would be uncivilized.
The sights, the sounds, the unforgettable performances. Warm up for all the day's action with Game Day. Every Saturday and Sunday morning at 11:30 Eastern on ESPN.
Marco Morales, the kicker, and a good reason he was first-team All-League. 50 of 68 extra points this year, just 6 of 31 field goals, but a stellar effort by Morales this year, and also Bojovic of the Detroit Drive. Good strong legs, Steve, able to get the ball into the net on a regular basis, which then creates many things.
Well, we've talked about it so many times, Roger. The way they put that ball down into the net, and then the ability to play off of it, or maybe more importantly, the inability of the team to grab that ball off the net is really important.
LaFrance is back deep to receive the kick. We're told Walter Holman has a hyperextended left elbow and is out. LaFrance, who will report to the Green Bay Packers on Monday, takes it off the net and nearly busts it loose. He gets to the 10-yard line, and Detroit will have it. 1st and 10 from there. And I'll tell you what, the Chicago player, Steve, that was able to stick a hand out and make the tackles, paying the price, that was Joe Bach It looked like number 66, who just kind of stuck the arm out there. See the Detroit offense outscoring their opponents in the first quarter. Detroit, a team that got off to a 2-3 start, then won 8 straight to come into this Arena Bowl. As LaFrance is in motion, 4:15 to go first quarter. Dixon is open deep. And a good takedown by Dixon as Skipper was right there with him. Ingold that time didn't see him early enough. And folks, 50 yards with the field, 8 yards from the end zone. You got to get rid of it quick.
Ingold has a stronger arm than this, but he put an awful lot into it. It just dropped a little sooner than he thought it would, and there's Skipper to knock the ball away. Again, as a receiver, you're always told there's no time to think about it. You have to become a defensive back immediately if that ball is underthrown. Well, here in Arena football, these guys do play both positions, so it comes easily for them.
Clyde Skipper from Oregon Tech. Second down and 10. Ingold pitches it back. And trapped right there is Jim Brown, number 45. It looked like Ingold had a hard time getting a handle on it. Billy Stone, who was the Iron Man of a year ago, busted through there. They had a little problem getting a hold of the snap.
Well, the center was supposed to slide over and pick up Stone in the gap. The guard, or the tackle in that case, come down and make the block to his left. Nobody got any movement on the offensive front for Detroit. Everything was in slow motion. So all Stone did was shoot through that gap and make the tackle. I asked him before the game how he was doing because of his knee injury and all. He said it felt great last week, feels even better this week. This guy's a real spiritual type leader for the Chicago club.
So 45, Jim Brown is the running back now in place of Holman on a 3rd and 14. They need to get past the 20 for the first down. Griffin loses the football. It's in between the legs of LaFrance. Who are they going to give it to? LaFrance has it between his legs.
And if they give it to LaFrance, will he have gotten enough with the ball between his legs for the first down?
Well, if they mark it where the ball is, they're going to mark it at about the 19-yard line. His body is laying over the 20, but Steve, honest to goodness, the ball was between his knees.
Well, having been in that position before, one time a pass thrown, it was too high for me, tipped it, caught it, slid down between my legs. The referee didn't see it, and he called it an incomplete pass. Here you can see the ball knocked loose by Rockmore, and now the fight's on to that ball.
Right back between his legs.
On it this side. Okay. Just run it out of two-man side.
All right, they have given the Detroit Drive a first down. That's a big first down. 2:20 left to go because Chicago had pushed them back into a perilous situation. Rich Ingold, quarterback in the league last year with Washington, has got Griffin inside the 20 to the 18, and a penalty marker is down.
And it's going to be a hold going against Detroit, so that'll nullify one of the first clean plays Detroit has had in a while. It's going to be a tough road to hoe for Detroit if Holman cannot come back in because he's their leading running back. They need him.
Kim Stevens, number 68, who is the center.
The center. There you see hanging onto the jersey, and there's
it's a
the
takedown. Yeah.
Chattanooga Choo-Choo would like that. Nice wrestling move there, the takedown.
And he'll step off 5 yards on that holding call. Second down and 15. Ingold, the 3rd leading passer this year in Arena football, is able to get it off, and he had a big rush put on him. Billy Stone was back there again. Griffin was the intended receiver, and number 80, Steve Thon, was back defensively.
I'm not altogether sure.
60 Z-cross. Left, okay, left, load, 60 Z-cross.
Right, the Z-cross, one of the wide receivers, the Z-back, will be coming across the field, so look for that pass. They're going to have to get a lot of yardage here because it's 3rd and about 15. Again, Ingold having trouble getting away from the center. Looked like everything fell into his lap before he could back up. He's got to get back and get set.
It could be because Charles Tobias, number 65, at 290 pounds, right over the center. Dixon's got it. And Dixon down at the 14-yard line. Vaughn was there. to stop him. And Rich Ingold got away from the center that time. Kim Stevens. Look at the middle.
The perfect pass play for the situation. Of course, you have to execute it. And take a look at Dixon getting away from his man and wide open in the seam, almost like a zone route, which you're not supposed to run in this game.
Maybe Chet Forty can get an ISO of Tobias 65 over Stevens in the middle, because Tobias goes about 290. He's been running right over him. Probably the easiest thing for Stevens to do is just go ahead and fall down and bring him down with it. As LaFrance goes in motion. Less than 10 seconds to go in the quarter. Dixon makes the catch. Skipper brings him down at the 9-yard line. And that'll end the first quarter of play from the Rosemont Horizon. Detroit and Chicago, the top 2 teams in the league, all tied up at 7 apiece.
Don't I get 2 pizzas for the price of 1?
Don't think of it as 1 pizza. Think of it as 1 pizza and 1 box.
What am I going to do with a box?
Ever hear of origami?
What's that?
A pterodactyl.
A what?
At Little Caesars, you never get just 1 pizza. You get
pizza.
2 great pizzas for 1 low price.
All right, families, what's the first thing we do when we get back from vacation? Unpack our bags?
No.
Read the mail?
Forget it.
Water the begonias?
No way.
Of course not. The first thing we do is drop off our vacation film where we see the Kodak Color Watch seal.
Right.
The Color Watch seal means the Kodak system checks the developing for great color. And every print is on
Kodak paper.
The Kodak Color Watch system. You're going to thank me for it.
Thank you.
I saw that coming.
This year's challenge has courtroom controversy and revolutionary design. ESPN takes an in-depth look at all the drama and intrigue to the America's Cup. Monday nights at 8 Eastern on ESPN.
Hi. I've been looking all over for this terrific video cassette I heard about. It's called The All-New Not-So-Great Moments in Sports. There's scenes where Daryl Dawkins renovates NBA backboards.
That's a fantastic video. The all-new Not-So-Great Moments in Sports is 45 minutes of the funniest film I've ever seen.
Great, so you have it.
No store has this version, but you get it free with your paid subscription to Sports Illustrated. You get 25 weeks of SI, including the Pro Football Preview, the beautiful swimsuit issue, the Summer Olympic Special issue, the commemorative Olympic pin set,
and the all-new Not-So-Great Moments in Sports?
You get it all. Just call Sports Illustrated's toll-free number, and you'll get SI for over 47% off the cover price. Just 3 monthly installments of $9.89 each. You can even use a credit card.
I gotta get to a phone. What's that number again?
Here, 1-800-777-2100.
Hi, have you heard of a video cassette called The All-New Not-So-Great Moments in Sports?
We're getting set for second quarter action. This is Ingold on the last pass of the first quarter. Dixon with a good stretching grab. Dixon about 6'2". Tim Markham, the coach of Detroit, told me no better hands in the league than Dwayne Dixon. As Holman is back in the game, and he's in for a touchdown. So Walter Holman, who we were told hyperextended the left elbow, and you can see him getting up rather gingerly, takes it in for the touchdown, and Detroit is back on top.
It's painful, no question about it, but try keeping him out of the ballgame. The 8-yard touchdown run by Holman. Again, stretching the defense. Good block. LaFrance, the receiver, coming from the outside back in, cracking back. Holman cutting it up inside and forcing those little guys to try to tackle him. And he's a fire plug at 220 pounds out of West Virginia State.
And that'll bring on Bojovic. So it took some time for the center to finally snap the football, but he did, and Detroit scores on the first play of the second quarter. They lead Chicago 14-7.
In every town in America, there's always one place that does a little bit better job of fixing your car. And it seems the things they all have in common are great mechanics, great service, and Napa parts.
A legend has been created. A better battery for the future. Better with more reserve power. Better with a warranty that lasts over 6 years. Better with a special $10 rebate available right now. The Legend from Napa. A better battery.
No matter what anyone tells you, the Wall Street Journal cannot make you a success overnight. Which is why we suggest a 13-week subscription.
Call 800-372-3000 for this great journal subscription offer. 13 weeks for just $29.75 with a money-back guarantee. 13 weeks, $29.75. Phone 800-372-3000 now for the Wall Street Journal.
Roger Twyville, Steve Rabel back with you. Walter Holman, we were told just a little bit earlier, Steve, he wouldn't be back because of a hyperextended elbow. Comes back in the 8-yard touchdown run and a 14-7 Detroit lead.
When you see that goal line in front of you and you're packing that football, you don't think about a little pain in the elbow.
And then, of course, it could very well be the last game of the year for Holman. As we've mentioned, several of these players have signed NFL contracts. The touchdown run by Holman, good block by LaFrance that sprung him.
Again, these guys out here are doing it all, playing defense, offense, good blocks.
And off of Dixon's shoulder, too.
And Holman battles through for the 6.
Now, on that kickoff by Bojovic, the ball went out of bounds without touching the net of the field, so they bring it out to the 20.
Bojovic not happy about that. Not much he can do. The call's been made, and Chicago has great field position at the 20-yard line with Ben Bennett at the controls.
13:48 to go in the half. The clock will stop in the final minute of the first half on incomplete passes and out of bounds. Hart, the intended receiver, Griffin, was down there defensively for the Detroit drive.
And Ben just loves to come out of the box throwing the ball, doesn't he? I mean, first shot, he gets back on the field, he looks for the deep pass. And 2 receivers to the far side of the field hook up, went for the deep post route. And that's the kind of guy he is. He's a riverboat gambler if there ever was one.
Bennett's had several inquiries about his availability this fall for NFL camps and such. As you take a look at Chicago's offense in '88. But he's going to be a color commentator on college games in the Atlantic Coast Conference this year as he throws that one out of bounds. And Bennett has decided that maybe arena football is where his future is. And we'll play this in the spring and summer and do some television work in the fall.
It works well with his lifestyle because he's a free spirit is an overused term, but Ben Bennett is that kind of guy if there ever was one. He enjoys his free time. He wants to get into television. This gives him an opportunity to do the fall television schedule and still keep his hand in the ball game itself out here playing arena ball.
3rd down and 10. Ball's at the 20-yard line. And that's going to be offsides. Bennett loses it. But Detroit getting a little antsy. We noticed that, Steve, last week. Los Angeles was drawn offside, and you wonder if Bennett's doing something with his cadence, which is causing Detroit to jump on.
Offside, defense, 3rd down repeated.
Looked like it was John Relk, 62. Take a look at the crowd here at the Rosemont Horizon. We're just to the north of O'Hare Airport. And I'll tell you what, it is hot inside of here. It is noisy. It's loud. And the home team trailing 14-7. Detroit's taken the crowd out of this game so far. Is on 3rd and 7. Bennett overthrows the intended receiver, number 20, Mike McDade. 44 for Detroit. David Evans, another one of those mid-season acquisitions, put a pretty good stick on him over there.
And he just wanted to let McDade know that he was in the neighborhood and that if he was going to jump off the ground again, he was going to get hit.
What I'm talking about, he's kicking the guys over there.
Markham just bringing to the attention of the officials that one of the Chicago players might be kicking somebody.
Now, Morales out of the hold of Bennett. 43-yard attempt. That's a live football off the net. And LaFrance never got it out of the end zone.
He had every intention of it, but a great play downfield by Chicago drove the blocker right into LaFrance. And there was no chance for George to get it out.
Take a look at LaFrance now. He never gets out of the end zone. as number 92, Jeff Faulkner, on top of him. They'll play it from the 5.
Every day, Jack Taylor and Joe Donovan take the same road home. But today, they went a little out of their way.
Give you a hand.
Here's to you, the clean, crisp taste of Beechwood-aged Budweiser.
This Bud's
For all the guys who go out of their way.
This Bud's for you.
Cooperstown, a special place honoring baseball's legends. Now Willie Pop Stargell joins baseball's elite at the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. Tomorrow afternoon at 3 Eastern, live on ESPN.
And making the trip from the Motor City, the cheerleaders for the Detroit Drive. They brought a number of fans with them tonight. About a 4.5-hour drive.
Now the Chicago fans here get a little bit rambunctious. If I were a Detroit fan, I might keep quiet. Just to stay out of trouble.
You think so, huh?
Yeah.
1st and 10 for Detroit from their 5-yard line. 11 minutes left to go, first half. Quick out near side to Evans, and he gets maybe a yard, and penalty markers go down. Rockmore was the first to get to Evans, but Steve, I believe there were several other players that got there a little bit too late.
That's right, John Rolfe, one of them, number 62 in the white. He came in far too late, knocked somebody on his helmet, and the officials are going to talk it over now. In fact, Rolfe has been in trouble before with the league. He was suspended for a game for taking a shot at somebody, actually a swing at him.
I think you got the right call, Steve.
Well, we got a penalty anyway, and it's going to go against Detroit. So once again, Detroit's going to end up backed up.
Well, taking them just a little bit of time to get this situation resolved. The Chicago Bruisers had run their record on the
illegal block in the back by the offense. Penalty declined. Second down.
So they'll decline the penalty. Chicago got off to a 10-0 start, and then Los Angeles finally handed them their first loss of the year. Then they played to a tie. As you take a look from behind, Rowell coming in and hitting number 60 of Chicago, Gene Rowell.
And I mean, he just smacked him all the way into the wall.
Ingold, penalty marker down, and a great defensive play by Darryl Hart. Penalty markers down as 2 players, Faulkner 92 and Billy Poe number 50. Both were able to get in there.
And for a moment, Ingold was down too, and he's a little bit shaky coming off the field. He took a shot as he released that ball. That's why it was so far underthrown.
And it's going to be offsides.
No wonder they got there so quickly to him.
For whatever reason, Steve, it seems to be there are a lot of penalties called in the second quarter of games.
Offside. Run a one-sided choice to Dwayne.
Hey! You heard Markham, who wants to talk to Ingold again. A one-sided choice to Dwayne.
My guess is Dwayne gets his choice on routes. If the defensive back is playing him up tight on the line, or as we say, in a bump and run position, maybe Dixon takes it deep. If he's playing off of Dixon, he maybe runs a hook or a short slant.
The all-time leading passer and receiver in arena football, Ingold to Dixon, and that was overthrown at the 19-yard line, and Durwood Rockmore was right there. From Texas A&I, a college that's produced so many great football players.
And that was the other option that he had that we ran out of time to tell you about, the out route. There you see Rockmore was playing off, so Dixon had his choice of routes. Ingold has to pick him up. The ball was just overthrown. Almost, though, a great catch. Dixon plays bigger than 6'2". I mean, he looks like he's 6'4", 6'5", the way he plays on the field.
You know, he's got to have great hand-eye coordination if he's that good of a sewer. He sewed his own wedding suit and his wife's dress for the rehearsal dinner. What does that tell you about the guy?
I need a new pair of slacks. I need to talk to him.
Third down, going deep to Dixon, and he's interfered with. Rockmore knocked him down. And there's another flag that's thrown after the play involving McDade and LaFrance.
McDade and LaFrance were on the near side, battling each other, trying to get to the ball. The question is the interference call on Dixon deep. That ball just woefully underthrown again. Ingold just doesn't have his arm into it tonight. He's letting his receivers get far too deep. Now the discussion comes, which penalties are going to stand?
Well, they're going to be offsetting is what they're going to be, and we're going to have a fourth down. A bet. You want to bet?
Might be a pretty good bet.
The penalty on interference would be 8 yards. They take it back to the line of scrimmage and step off 8. But way after the penalty, McDade and LaFrance got into it.
You're just...
He had him outside
no,
all the way.
You know what? You're just not throwing the ball fast enough. I don't know why.
Coach,
I don't know why.
All you have to do is boom. On the return, illegal blocking by the return team is declined. Accepted is defense pass interference. First down.
Oh, so both penalties.
One side.
I said let early rip. He ran low from the tackle.
Let's go. 85.
Well, if I understand the official, Chicago declined and Detroit accepted.
Yeah, the penalties against Chicago. One was declined, one was accepted, and now Detroit hangs on to the football. And if you heard Markham, he says, you're just not throwing the ball hard enough. You've got to put that ball out there because your guys are getting a step on the defensive back.
Especially in this game. Ingold is nailed. Loose football. 92, Jeff Faulkner. 6'4", 295 from Southern University, who's headed either to the New York Jets or the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, boy.
Disassembled Rich Ingold, but Detroit was able to cover up. And that gets the crowd going here.
Yeah, what a way to get your hometown fans back in it. Ingold standing there waiting for somebody to come open, and he took a shot right in the chest from Faulkner, a former basketball player in college, turned football player.
8 sacks now on the year for Faulkner. Second down and 23. He's got LaFrance deep. He's got Dixon underneath, and that will be enough for the first down. Dwayne Dixon makes the catch at the 23-yard line. You talk about a team player, he sews clothes for his teammates. That's the epitome of a team player.
And he comes up with the big catches when they need him. Look at this. They had third and forever, or second and forever, and he comes up with the big catch, does Dixon, to put them in position for the first down. Ever so short. In fact, they'll have to measure for it now.
Okay, listen to this. I want to go right, load, right, load, 34 draw.
So you heard Tim Markham
34 draw.
calling 34 draw. The man who will carry the football is 31 Alvin Reddick. He's 5'11", 216. He's from Rice, and the drive roster dotted with Rice players because Markham used to coach there.
So this a little bit unusual for Detroit, running at this position in the field. We've seen them run down near the goal line with Holman, and they've scored with him down there a couple of times.
7:13 to go, first half. LaFrance will come in motion. And they'll get about 3 yards. That looked like left to me.
They almost got nothing because
was it 34 right or?
The load came back to the right
Yeah.
with 3 wide receivers. There you see Faulkner stepping up and making the play at the line of scrimmage. However, he couldn't wrap up Reddick, and Reddick bounces off and picks up 3-4 yards.
That'll bring up a second down and 7. Dixon comes to the near side. 6:30 left to go, first half. Dixon. And inside the 15, very near the first down. His coaches, Steve, tell me that the only thing that keeps this guy out of playing in the National Football League is his speed. Said he doesn't have the speed. Everything else he's got, they say he's got the best attitude. He's the most liked player on the team.
Well, and it's interesting because they've been saying that about players all along, that they don't have speed.
No, loaded this side. 32, 32.
We're going to probably see another run again. 32. The load again. All the receivers to one side. They've been saying guys like Largent couldn't play receiver for years because he doesn't have speed. Steve Largent's got a lot of speed.
3rd and inches, and Ingold just sticks his head down, and he gets the first down as the Bruisers of Chicago will make wholesale substitutions right now.
Okay.
We got a player down in the field. It's Osei Lewis of the Chicago Bruisers, number 82.
Right. You know what I think? I think that the Wayne, looking at him, listen to that.
Some people are so silly. Ouch. They make this big deal about Kellogg's Frosted Flakes being just for kids. Well, look at me. I'm an adult. I eat them. Heck, I love them. Frosted Flakes just for kids? Come on. Like we adults have to go sneaking around. Like we can't enjoy these sweet, crunchy flakes just as much as kids.
Daddy, are you eating our Frosted Flakes again?
Oops. There now. You can't deny it. Frosted Flakes have the taste adults have grown to love. They're great.
It's the right knee of Osei Lewis. And Steve, you'll remember back a few weeks ago against Los Angeles, he hurt that knee, and he twisted it again. This was on the sneak by Ingold off the right side, and you see he gets it bent right underneath of him.
Got caught under the pile, and people are falling on top of him. He can't get his foot out from underneath him. That's an ugly one.
It's the most helpless feeling in the world, folks, if you've ever been in any situation like that. Detroit leads Chicago 14-7 with 5:24 to go first half.
And, of course, even with Billy Stone on this Chicago team, who is a fine fullback in his own right, the 1-2 punch of he and Lewis was something to behold. This could be problems for Chicago now.
First down and 10. Ingold going to Dixon, and penalty markers go down. He had LaFrance in the corner of the end zone. Dixon came to the middle. Skipper is writhing in pain, and also down, looks like number 30. Excuse me, number 80, Steve Thon.
Talk to me about your head. Oh, just a ringer. Yeah? My hip is killing me. What happened with your hip? I don't know. I think I took a helmet right on the hip. Yeah? Yeah. You feel anything pop or anything? No. It's killing me. We got plenty of time to do that, okay? Second down. Right or left hip? Right. Can you move your leg at all for me? Yeah. Huh? No. No? Yeah, a little bit. Okay. Feel anything down here? Down lower. Huh? Down lower today. Down here?
Steve Thon got a helmet in the right hip, and Steve Rabel, that's a classic right there. The two defenders coming across the receiver in the middle. They missed the receiver, and they collided with each other.
Well, it's like a battle zone out there for Chicago players.
No, just the head and the hip.
Which hip?
Right hip, down here. I don't feel anything out.
Right. Your neck's not bothering you. Where'd you get the head, the blowing the head from? The front or the back?
Right in the front.
Did it move your head back?
Yeah.
All right, you move both hands, right?
The team position out there on the field with the trainer checking out Steve Thon right now.
Well, Thon also, he says, got a ringer or a dinger. He got hit in the head, so he got the hip in the head. Skipper is kneeling next to him. 21 players suited up for the game tonight.
They may use every one of them on both these squads. Remember, they've been playing now, counting the preseason, for a long time, it seems like, both ways. Now watch. We'll follow Dixon as he crosses Skipper, number 42, with him. Passes up. There are the two Chicago players colliding, and I mean, they really smack each other. Dixon comes out of it unscathed. But Thon and Skipper blasting into each other. You can see the hips collide. Thon hits the ground. Skipper had his arm pinned between the two.
Here's my hand. Squeeze. All right, you move both legs, right? All right, now move your head to the side, that way. Now to the side this way. Now forward a little.
It's just swinging, that's all.
All right, nothing in your neck, right? All right, real slow, but sit you up.
That's Dr. Chadwick Prodromos of the Chicago Bruisers, and we'll take a pause right now. Detroit leads 14-7.
Pushing hard, breaking through. Cause good isn't good enough for you. Wash and go.
It's shampoo plus conditioner in one. For control you can't get from ordinary shampoo.
You got it together.
Hair's clean, easy to manage.
Ready to roll. Wash and go.
Shampoo, conditioner in one.
Roger Twibell, Steve Rabel back with you. A rash of injuries here. There's Steve Thon being helped to his feet. A collision in the end zone. And Thon out of tiny Wheaton College here in Illinois. I was talking to him before tonight's game. You take a look at the replay. Dixon is the intended receiver.
And it's simply a case of two defenders going just about full speed, just really blasting into one another.
Got hit in the head. He's pretty dizzy right now. He got hit in the hip, but the head's more right now.
Phil Graham is the trainer for Chicago, and that's Perry Moss, of course, the head coach. Dr. Chadwick Promodomos. This is going to be the 12th play of the Detroit drive, if you will. Ingold 7 of 13, 76 yards. Dixon has caught 5 catches. They have chewed a lot of time off this clock here, Steve. Less than 5 minutes to go, first half. Penalty marker down. Dixon to the 1-yard line.
Tim Markham on the near sideline throws his hands up saying, now what's the penalty? Fine pass, by the way, by Ingold. That time he threw it hard enough and got it to his receiver.
Detroit has nearly 90 total yards. Chicago just 32. As Detroit has controlled the football, and this one will be stepped off against Detroit.
Illegal formation. The ineligible number did not report. Repeat, second down.
That's something, Steve, that happens a lot.
Listen, do the one that went up the same thing.
He's hanging on the outside. I had to read him. Let's go inside. Post corner's going to get it.
The eligible offensive lineman has to report that when there's a change, that he's coming in.
Now, look this time for perhaps the post corner. You heard Ingold saying, hey, he's hanging on his inside all the time. Maybe the post corner will get him. So look for Dixon or whoever to come into the middle of the field and then break back out to the sideline. See if that works for Detroit. So far, they've been pretty successful, except for the penalties.
Ingold going to the corner to Dixon. Rockmore with the defensive play. Daryl Hart was also back there, and Markham is on the field. You got to wonder what two. Yeah, there's a zone official. You got to wonder with Hart and Rockmore both back there.
Yeah, that's right.
Markham says, yeah, that's right. Call it.
Playing center field out there.
Illegal defense. You can't play center field. You have to play man. Now, here you see the man-to-man defense, and there's the post corner we were talking about. This going against Daryl Hart. But look, here's Durwood Rockmore back there playing deep middle of the field as if it's a zone, as if he's a free safety. In ArenaBowl, you can't do it.
Automatic first down.
And that's what
Markham's yelling at Perry Moss. Markham's pointing right across the 20-yard line to Perry Moss. Folks, there's no zone defense. There's a slight problem here because you've got 8 offensive players, 8 defensive players, but because the quarterback and what he does, they keep a linebacker, they call it the Jill. That person is just kind of sitting in there, and it's supposed to be man-to-man, and the coaches have been known to take advantage of the rules a little bit. As Brown, the running back, Brown down inside the 5-yard line, the Boston College graduate who attended high school in Birmingham, Michigan, a 225-pounder taking the place of Holman right here, and with some pretty good moves.
And some pretty good blocking up front. Nice block there by Corker. Again, the guy who's been hobbled all week long gets out, blocks 2 guys, and allows Brown to turn the corner and get upfield.
He's been a very productive ball carrier when he's had the chance. That's Jim Brown. B-R-O-W-N-E.
I mean, who'd have thought at the beginning of this season that running and defense would play as an important a part of arena football as it has? Everybody thought deep passes.
It's playing a part tonight. 2nd and inches. Brown again, he's got the first down. He's inside the 5-yard line. 2:58 left to go, first half. And Detroit, indeed, giving Chicago some of their own medicine.
Again, two very similar teams, personnel-wise. The way they have their offenses and defenses structured. There you see Jimmy Brown, big, good-looking kid at 6'2", 225. But this is the best battle between two teams I think we've seen all year, as evenly matched a battle as we've seen all season.
First and goal from the 3-yard line. Evans in motion. They'll give it to Brown again. He runs right over Durwood Rockmore. And Durwood is shaking the cobwebs out, and Brown would have probably been advised to try to go around him.
I thought the block was made, and it was, sort of, but Brown, not great foot speed. I mean, pretty decent back, but he just decided to run right over Durwood, and Durwood just hung on for dear life and made the tackle.
Well, the block came back in, and as I said, you know, Brown ideally would have wanted to go around, didn't notice that block. And with 1:56 to go, second down and goal, and LaFrance in motion, and they'll try Brown again. He's got a chance. Touchdown. Penalty marker is down. And another Chicago player is down on the field.
Unsportsmanlike conduct and illegal block against the
That's it! The fucking scoop block! Come here! Come here! Come here! Come here! The clipping zone!
Let's take a look at it right now. The left offensive lineman got a piece of 65, Charles Tobias. Brown goes into the end zone, but Tobias is still down on the ground at the 1-yard line, just out of our camera view. And you saw the injury take place.
Let's go. You keep it inside.
I don't want to
ready?
say
Go.
that was 62, John Relk. I think that was Corker. It looked like it was Corker. And Tobias, who is the strongest man on this football team, and interestingly enough, the most fined. He's a local guy out of the Chicago area. And
right low.
Perry Moss.
Left rip. Right. You want to go this way.
Right low.
Okay. Right low. Motion right front.
Perry Moss, the head coach of the Bruisers, said, you know, he's a good guy, but he lives here locally.
What are you trying to do to me, baby?
And sometimes he gets caught in the traffic.
What are you trying to do to me? Huh? That's 3 points off the board.
The ball will be placed at the 11-yard line. Second down and goal. Evans goes in motion. Ingold just throws it up for grabs, off the net, and nearly intercepted by Darryl Hart. That hit the wire, or the steel frame, the metal frame around the net. That is a live football on missed extra point, or missed field goals rather, and in this particular situation, Ingold just trying to get rid of the football, and you take a chance. You take a chance that it could go into your hands, or you take a chance that it could go into Chicago's hands, which would have been an interception. And 1 minute left in this first half, and of course at the 1 minute mark, that is when the clock will now stop on incomplete passes and out of bounds. A low scoring first half. Detroit 14, Chicago 7. Each team has had a touchdown apiece called back because of penalties. Third down and goal. And LaFrance was wide open, and Ingold, with a lot of pressure on him from Billy Stone, wasn't able to find him, and that'll bring on Bojovic. So LaFrance was wide open that time. And Bojovic will attempt the field goal. Ingold will place it down at the 18-yard line. A 26-yard attempt. This is the 20th play, unheard of in arena football, of this particular drive. And it's blocked. It's dropped. And Dixon picks it up. And it's going to be Detroit football at the 1-yard line. Mike Clark, number 90, came in and blocked the field goal attempt. The Chicago player caught it and dropped it, and Dixon recovered it. Steve.
Unbelievable, Roger. To be down here and to see all that's going on. First of all, look at him come through, Clark, and tip that ball untouched. Now it sails high into the air. But there's Dixon, always on the spot, it seems, around the football. The Chicago player dropped it. Dixon recovers the ball. He gets up. He can't advance it. This guy, I'll tell you what, he just seems to make play after play after play. And just to think, just a moment ago, when they missed LaFrance, when Detroit missed LaFrance down in the end zone, wide open, Tim Markham took his program. It was rolled up. He threw it on the ground. He got down and pounded his fists on the ground. They now have an opportunity to score.
And as we mentioned, that was the 20th play of the drive. It didn't produce any points, but on the blocked field goal, they'll now have a chance from just outside the 1-yard line. 47 seconds left to go. The officials doing a lot of conferring, and yeah, they say it is Detroit football.
Gene Rowell continues to argue about it, the Chicago Bruisers center.
Hey, I am eligible, sir. Okay. He is ineligible.
Meanwhile, you hear Detroit Drive players saying who's eligible and who isn't. They don't want to have an opportunity here of giving this ball up again.
This is the formation, Steve, Markham told us about, where he brings in a lot of those big defensive people to do some blocking here.
Right, expect Detroit to run on this, but then again in this game, expect the unexpected.
Well, he's got Corker in motion there. They'll go to the right side. Brown turns it up, and he's in for the touchdown. That time, Markham brought in Corker to block. He also brought in Greg Orton, number 89. So, Steve, in essence, he had a lot of big people as you take a look.
If there's a goal line offense in arena football, then this is it. And the Detroit Drive came up with it. As you can see, Brown with the ball fighting his way through after a couple of good blocks. They just couldn't hold the big guy. They tried. Rockmore and company tried to keep him out, but no such luck. And so after hanging on to the ball seemingly forever, finally Detroit gets a score there.
Penalty marker is down. Penalty marker is down as the kick is good. And it's going to be against Detroit. The last time these two teams played, Chicago jumped out.
Delay of game, 9 players participating on the kicking team.
Hey, Steve, is that unbelievable? We were just talking today about never having this year a penalty for too many men on the field, and what do you know? We get one tonight.
First time. Well, I think it's only fitting we should have it in the ArenaBowl. Let's get everything done before the season is over.
I was going to mention the last meeting between these two teams. Chicago held a 24-0 lead at halftime. The extra point now from the 15 by Novo Bojovic, and that's good. And Detroit leads 21-7, but there are 41 seconds left. The clock will stop on incomplete passes and out of bounds in the final minute. And plenty of time, Steve, for Chicago to get another touchdown.
Hey, Dwayne, hey, nothing easy now. Don't let them have nothing easy.
Markham, don't let them have anything easy, and that's very easy to say at this point in the game. There are a group of Detroit fans sitting up in the stands just beyond my location down here on the field, Roger, who are saying basically the same thing, and they are loving every minute of this ball game, having come over from Detroit to see their Drive football team out here, and right now ahead of the top team in the league, at least as the season ended, the Chicago Bruisers.
Bojovic will kick it off. Aikens, 84, back deep, along with Hart and McDade. Reggie Smith has not played tonight for Chicago, and he's such an inspiration. And that kick was so high that it hit the lights above the floor here at the Rosemont Horizon. And what a break for the Chicago Bruisers, because they'll put the ball in play exactly where it comes down off the light standards.
And Roger, just as you mentioned Reggie Smith having not played, who walks onto the field to try to help Chicago put some points on the board as the half winds down? Then little number 1, 31-year-old Reggie Smith, the smallest guy in arena football. He'll try to help Ben Bennett and the rest of the offense pick up the slack here and get a score going in at halftime.
Well, he was limping noticeably in the pregame warm-ups, and he ran by me, and I said, Reggie, you putting on a show, or is that for real? And he said it was for real. 1st and 10 from the 20, 41 seconds left to go. Aikens in motion, and Detroit jumps off sides. A 3-play for Bennett. He just throws it up, and Tate Randall intercepts it. Now, Steve, if he just wanted to throw it away, he should have thrown it in the stands, because there's no guarantee that the penalty's on Detroit.
No, you're right. There is no guarantee, but if he was assuming that, it looks as though he assumed right, and he did. It is going to go against Detroit, but you never always are sure as a quarterback. You're right. I think he was actually just taking the free play and going to go for the deep shot.
The penalty will be against Detroit. We haven't received any update on the condition of Steve Thon or Clyde Skipper. Both those players hurt when they collided in the end zone. But as soon as we can get some information, we'll send it along to you. Still 1st down, but just 7 yards to go now after the 3-yard penalty. Bennett loses the football and threw it right into the back of Billy Stone. Just simply that time, Steve, it looked as though the ball slipped out of his hands.
I think he wanted to try to cock that thing and then pull it back, maybe pump fake somebody and move around in the pocket, and the ball just got away from him. Remember, this Chicago offense, or at least the quarterback, has been sitting on the sideline for an awful long time, 20-some plays, while his teammates have been out there on the field playing defense. Now they must turn around. There's some tired guys on that Bruiser squad right now.
2nd down and 7. Hart will go in motion to the far side, loops way back behind Bennett. And Bennett throws it to Hart, and Bennett is slammed to the ground. Big rush, and of course in arena football, a ball goes into the stands, the fans get to keep it. Corker that time, Reggie Mathis, both in there, applying a lot of pressure. And Steve, one thing we've noticed about Ben Bennett, I mean, he's been a great quarterback all year, but when LA beat him, they put the heat on him.
That's the way you beat any quarterback, Roger, is if you can get people in his face. And again, we talked about the height of a guy like Corker or Mathis, the size of him. Getting inside and putting pressure on him forces him to get rid of that ball a little sooner than he'd like to.
21-7, 26 seconds left to go, and once again Detroit jumping offside. Steve, I got to believe that's just Bennett's doing something with his cadence. You know, when you look at tapes or you look at films, as you well know, sometimes you can tell by little things that a quarterback will do when he's going to make that signal for the snap. Sometimes
illegal contact with the center.
And I can't tell you, Roger, I can't tell you how many times I have seen a play like that called, and the quarterback get called for the penalty for the head bob.
Right.
You know, he's in there and he's taking the snap and height, and he shakes his head. That's a penalty. That time, no penalty on Ben Bennett. Procedure on Detroit.
So 3rd down and 4. Reggie Smith steps out of bounds, and that stops the clock with 22 seconds. So they were playing way off Reggie Smith that time. Skipper, we're told, has a bruised right shoulder. Thon, a slight concussion. As you take a look at the pass, that's a veteran player, Steve. Got out of bounds, stopped the clock.
That's also an injured player.
Yeah, that's
protecting himself.
That's true, too.
And, you know, Ben Bennett hasn't really had a poor half of football here. Chicago's offense hasn't really had a poor half. They just haven't had an opportunity.
1st down and 10 at the 15-yard line. 22 seconds remain. Both teams with 3 timeouts remaining. Bennett is going to run with it. A penalty marker's down, and Bennett is drilled Dixon came up and put a big hit on him at the 15-yard line. And Perry Moss wants a timeout. There's a penalty marker down. And you know, Steve, we asked Moss holding against Detroit. Now that's the third penalty against Detroit in this Chicago drive. But we asked Moss today about Bennett ducking his head and running. And he said, no, I told him that he should be sliding.
Well, Ben Bennett, you're going to have a tough time telling Ben that because he's a competitor. Maybe he was trying to get to the ground there and was unable to, but he's also tough. Look, he wants everybody to know that that shot did not faze him. He's the first one off the ground.
Detroit with 22 yards rushing, Chicago just 3. And of course, Detroit with a couple of rushing touchdowns. 1st and 10 from the 11-yard line, 15 seconds. Left to go, first half. Bennett's pass is incomplete. It was a little bit low, but Carl Aikens, Steve, got both hands on it.
And Reggie Smith is really limping. I mean, he came into the end zone, Roger, on that slant, trying to draw the defense away from Aikens, and he's limping noticeably. He is in some pain. But again, a guy like Ben Bennett, you're not going to keep this guy on the bench, not in the championship game. There it is once again. Bennett looking. And that was a week ago against Los Angeles.
2nd down and 11. Bennett fumbles the snap momentarily, gets it back, intercepted. Intercepted by Steve Griffin, and he could go all the way. And he's finally dragged down inside the 5, and Ben Bennett. Time has expired. Ben Bennett was the man that held him up and allowed the other Chicago player, Darryl Hart, to come from behind and catch him. Goodness. Detroit with a strong defensive effort despite several penalties that could have given the Chicago Bruisers a score here at the end of the first half.
Once again, take a look. There's the interception. The ball may be forced into the defense a little bit by Bennett. Now here comes Griffin. And Ben doing a great job along with getting some help downfield to make that play. Look at Bennett just fight through the blocker and throw himself in there. Quarterback hates to have that happen.
Well, when it's his interception and he knows time's running out, he can save the day. And, boy, I'll tell you what, that's a big save by Ben Bennett. Rather than being possibly 28-7 at halftime, it is 21-7. The Detroit drive leading the Chicago Bruisers in ArenaBowl 88. And Detroit has done it with a dose of Chicago's medicine. They've been able to run the football, Steve. They've got a couple of rushing touchdowns. And consequently, we have seen, too, a lot of time taken up, whether it's through penalties, keeping the football on the ground, injuries and such. This has been a long first half, and that one Detroit drive of some 20 plays. It's been remarkable.
It really has been remarkable, Roger. Take one more time. Let's look at this interception before we leave it and see the ball overthrown and right into the hands of Griffin in the end zone. Now, Griffin could very well have just knelt down and taken the play right there, and Detroit gets one more play. However, he decides to run it out, sees the room, and here he comes. The clock all this time is running itself down, and here's Ben Bennett. He's going to get a lick in because, quite frankly, he's a little bit upset. He just threw that interception, and he's the one that decides to get downfield and make the play. So until that particular pass, not a bad half by Ben Bennett.
Okay, Steve, we're at halftime. Detroit leading Chicago 21-7. ArenaBowl 88 on ESPN. We'll be back with our halftime activities in a moment. At halftime, Detroit leading Chicago 21-7 as the Detroit drive with a couple of rushing touchdowns by Brown and Ingold, and they have that lead. Joining me right now, the head coach and GM of the Pittsburgh Gladiators, Joe Herring. Joe, thanks for being with us. And your impressions of the first half here tonight, besides being awfully hot here at the Rosemont Horizon.
Yes, it's pretty warm here, and the crowd's loud and enthusiastic, which is good for Chicago. You know, when we had talked about this game earlier, I said they're really two well-matched teams. I mean, both of them have the same strengths and weaknesses, and I thought that a couple momentum changes at the beginning of the game could sway it. And the first one, Detroit got with the play off the net, but Chicago came back and kind of negated that. But, you know, the last one they had with the the block kick and then recovering it. It looked like Chicago towards the end of the half lost their patience. You know, this game you can score so quickly, but you still got to be patient and take what they give you. And it looked like Chicago had lost it towards the end of the half, especially in that last drive. And what they need to do is, you know, we were far behind Detroit last week, and we came back and kept our patience, and the clock ran on us. They're only down 2 scores, and they just need to take what Detroit gives them and get some momentum. But right now, Detroit has the momentum.
Well, Joe, it looks like injuries could be a factor tonight because already Holman was hurt for Detroit, and then you had Osei Lewis, who's had a great second half of the year for Chicago. Reggie Smith is not 100%. You get this 14 games into the arena season, players playing both ways. Injuries in this game can be so pivotal.
Well, you're talking to the coach of the team that had the most injuries, you know, and that's one of the reasons we think that we weren't here. But yeah, they can be, and in the game too, because you know you only have so many players. You only have 2 players at each position. You know, if you get 2 quarterbacks knocked out, 2 S-backs or 2 running backs, you know, you're in trouble. You got to put in a guy there just to fill in. So yeah, injuries could be a critical thing in this game in the second half.
Joe, you of course worked last year in Pittsburgh. Perry Moss was with you, and of course Tim Markham. You guys have been rivals. What about the 2 coaches? What do you expect them to do at halftime, and what do you expect from these 2 teams in the second half?
Well, I think that, you know, I know Perry very well, and he's a confident coach. He's an experienced coach, and I know he's telling his team right now, we're only down 2 scores. We need to get into our game plan. The reason they had won 10 games in a row because they were the most patient team. And in the league, they always do the underneath pattern. I know he's going to tell his quarterback Bennett, he's going to tell his team, be patient. I think he'll come out with the game plan in the second half to just take what they give him, go down, get the momentum, get the crowd behind them. And the way Detroit has played, and they have a tendency to get a lead and try to be conservative. I think if they get another score up, they'll really try to be conservative, which in this game, it's hard to do because somebody can score 2 quick touchdowns in a hurry.
Well, if you've seen Joe Herring on any of our telecasts on ESPN, you know how excitable he is in the sideline, folks. I'm guaranteeing you, sitting up here tonight, he's been a true gentleman. He's just been sitting here very calmly enjoying the game. Joe, thanks so much for being with us.
Well, one comment. I'm always a gentleman, even when I get excited.
I know.
Thank you.
We're at halftime here at the Rosemont Horizon. And Detroit leading Chicago 21-7. We'll be back with more of our Arena Bowl 88 in just a moment.
Yes, I'd like 2 of those pizzas.
Those pizzas? They'll be $17.99.
$17.99? But it says $10.99.
Not for those pizzas.
How can that be?
I think if you refer to the fine print.
Fine print?
Not render vendor responsible.
May I help you?
Who are you?
I'd like to introduce our corporate attorney. He's here on a regular basis.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
At Little Caesars, you always get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price.
Pizza.
Only at Little Caesars.
Odious, contemptible, deplorable. I'm speaking of offending in the personal grooming arena. Something I would, of course, consider quite beyond the pale. So I give you a new Red Guard Sports Stick, antiperspirant and deodorant. When one needs to seek maximum protection and a fresh new scent, one should grab oneself one of these Red Guard Sports Sticks because one would hate to be considered malodorous by one's chums. Now, wouldn't one? New Red Guard Sports Sticks from Gillette. Anything less would be uncivilized.
Maybe you haven't heard. People who fly United and drive Hertz don't have to lug luggage anymore. Now you can check in your bags when you check in your car. Get United boarding passes and seat assignments right at the Hertz counter. You go straight to the gate while your bags go straight to the plane. If you fly United.
Airlines, please. United.
United Airlines. Rededicated to giving you the service you deserve.
There must be something I haven't heard.
Come fly the friendly skies.
This is where Michael Jordan kept practicing his jump shot when he didn't make varsity. This is where George Brett kept fielding after his team lost the state finals.
Wildcat ball.
And this is where Walter Payton played every game his freshman year as a drummer in the marching band. What do these legends have in common? They've always had a will to win. And they've always had a Wilson.
You're talking about press fade.
Only press fade.
Okay. We are inside the Detroit Live dressing room. Coach Tim Markham talking to his quarterback, Rich Ingold. Let's listen to what they're talking about.
I'll tell you why double post is not there, because they're out of that black look. Okay? They haven't played the black look.
He's still high. Now what is still there is C cross.
C cross and wing cross too was there.
Okay.
Hit the wing cross too.
Wing cross. Wing and one. Want a high motion, okay? Blast them out of there. Run your post route.
Depth you got there. Now right over top of Jill.
C, get out of there, and then build. Whoever backside wing or wide, build the thing to 15. Okay, on the two sides. Got me? Got that?
The receivers also in here,
Get
along
everybody in here.
with
Let's
Coach
go. Thomas,
Markham
get
and his
everybody in here.
quarterbacks, and now they're going to bring the entire team in. Some last-minute instructions before they head back to the field.
Yeah, that was the one time
I went away from it. As you can see, it's so warm inside the lines, and some of the players have taken off their jerseys and shoulder pads to try to cool down.
No, I don't want
Incredibly warm in the locker rooms here as well.
Side, you're moving, it just really looks. Now we got.
You want left, early rip.
Okay, here we go, right here. If we want wing cross, right, rip, early Liz, rip. Okay, wing cross.
Right.
And now the big guys, the linemen filing in.
Early lows, rows. I want the
They've been
high
talking to Coach Jim Bates in the other
rows.
locker room.
Good push, and then build the
Getting their
cross.
last-minute instructions.
But who ran the post corner a while ago? Stevie?
It looks like chaos in here, but believe me,
He stayed
you know
high.
exactly what they're doing. Every man knows what his job is. Gone over last-minute instructions.
Don't let me
And in a
forget.
moment, Tim Markham is going to tell him what it's going to take to win this Arena Bowl 88.
How you doing?
As long as you go away from Rockmore, go away from the two receiver side. Go a whole lot of way.
That's right. How much time we got? How much time we got?
First drive is most important, guys.
All right, listen up.
Let's go.
Get your stuff on. Let's go. We've got 30 minutes of one heck of a battle. 30 minutes ahead of you. One heck of a battle. You must keep up the same type of intensity. You got to hit them just like we've been hitting them. Okay? The next 30 minutes, hey, everything we work for from Orlando, from right here, everything we work for is 30 minutes away.
It's ours to take.
Let's get it.
It's ours to
Come on,
Let's go, baby.
One more half right here. One more half. Last chance. One time. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's get it.
Let's see if we can get Coach Markham before he heads out on the field. Coach Markham, surprised that you're playing, not only playing as well as you are, but that you've made the plays against Chicago when you've needed to make them.
Well, surprised. I'm glad that we did. I certainly know that one thing. I mean, 21-7 is not enough points. So we've got to go out, and this is going to be a very critical series right here. They get the ball. The defensive temperament that we put on them will mean whether, I think, how the game's going to go.
The one thing that Coach Bates was telling the big guys, the linemen, we've got to keep pressure on Ben Bennett. It seems when you get pressure on him, the ball tends to move around a bit.
There's no secrets about that, is there? That's the #1 football from day one. We've got to have the pass rush. That's it.
Tim Markham, good luck in the second half. Thank you. Roger, back upstairs to you.
Okay, Steve, thanks very much. We're at halftime here in Arena Bowl 88. Detroit leading Chicago 21-7. And we'll be back with the second half kickoff right after this.
Yes, I'd like 2 of those pizzas.
Those pizzas? They'll be $17.99.
$17.99? But it says $10.99.
Not for those pizzas.
How can that be?
I think if you refer to the fine print.
Fine print?
It's not vendor responsible.
May I help you?
Who are you?
I'd like to introduce our corporate attorney. He's here on a regular basis.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
At Little Caesars, you always get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price.
Pizza, pizza.
Only at Little Caesars.
You know what a flat old tater chip is, huh? It's like fishing where there ain't no fish. Ooh, but nothing flat about Ruffles potato chips. Ruffles got ridges. That's right. And they taste just as good as having them fish come jumping right in the boat, looking right on your eye and saying, Justin, me, I surrender. I guarantee.
Ruffles brand potato chips. The taste won't leave you flat.
Ooh, I caught the whole bunch. Hey.
Oh, baby, come on. Let me take you where the action is. Oh, baby, come on. Let me take you where the action is. Oh, baby, come on. Let me take you where the action is. Showtime's gonna take you where the action is.
Check out Showtime's exclusive action lineup of blockbusting hits and original shows. RoboCop, Stakeout, Beverly Hills Cop 2, The Untouchables, and more.
Showtime's gonna take you where the action is.
It's not on HBO. The action's on Showtime.
You know, that was a smart move.
You mean renting that budget one-way truck?
I can't believe how much we saved.
Well, budget doesn't charge you for round trip, just one way.
And the rate was low to begin with.
You know, it's kind of fun driving that truck.
Yeah. Air conditioning, stereo.
Automatic, power steering. It's better than our car.
Really? And to top it off, we got $50 off.
Yeah, just by calling budget and mentioning Arena Football.
Yeah. That budget one-way truck was the best move we ever made.
We're back at the Rosemont Horizon. The Detroit Drive leading the Chicago Bruisers 21-7 in Arena Bowl 88. But Chicago this year has come from behind to win 8 times, 8 of their 11 victories, and 3 wins after trailing in the second half. Scoring summaries like this: Ingold, the 1-yard run. McDade, his first touchdown reception of the year from Bennett. That tied it at 7. Second quarter, Holman, a gutty 8-yard run after suffering a hyperextension of his left elbow. And then Brown, the 2-yard run. And Detroit able to take advantage of a couple of miscues by the Chicago Bruisers. But Steve Rabel, the Rich Ingold touchdown right here, and twice tonight they have gone in on the ground, actually 3 times, with Holman and Brown both getting one. And here, of course, is Ben Bennett and McDade's first touchdown catch of the year.
I'll tell you something, Roger, in that locker room for Detroit, a lot of excited guys, but very, very subdued. I mean, they knew that it was still business. Still a half an hour of football to play, 2 15-minute quarters. And as you heard Jim Markham say, by no stretch of the imagination are they ahead to stay on this one. Take a look at Detroit here running in for one of their touchdowns. Jim Brown packing the ball for the 2-yard score. And Chicago defense getting, as you said, a little taste of their own medicine here with the ball carriers taking it in instead of pass receivers.
There are the statistics from the first half. The passing touchdowns almost nil. The turnover, Chicago with 3, and of course 2 of those have turned into touchdowns for the Detroit Drive. But once again, the interesting stat: Chicago's come from behind in 8 of their 11 victories this year, and 3 times after trailing in the second half, once by 16 points.
And remember, the last couple of times we've seen Detroit, they get out on top in the first half, and then for whatever reason score little or no points in the second half.
Joe Herring made that point at halftime. He feels if Detroit gets one more score, they'll sit back on it. But every time they've been able to hold on. Second half kickoff off the net. That's a loose live football, and finally Chicago falls on it. Reggie Smith was back there, and Reggie finally came up with it.
We're seeing things happen to this Chicago Bruiser ball club, Roger, that we haven't seen all season. And unfortunately, what worse time could it happen than in the Arena Bowl for Chicago? I mean, they haven't made plays like that all season long, and now yet another Bruiser is down on the ground.
Daryl Hart, number 20.
For a team that came into this ball game pretty healthy, Chicago has taken one heck of a beating here tonight.
Ankle, man.
Your ankle or your
knee? My ankle, man. My ankle.
Is that your knee? Right one or left one?
My left motherfucking ankle.
Left one. Did you turn it in? Roll over it? Woo. Did you roll over it?
No, he fell on my motherfucking ankle. Oh.
Here, squeeze down here. Squeeze down here.
Oh, I can squeeze, man. Squeeze down.
Does it hurt you down here?
It hurt me in the back of my
cheek. That's Daryl Hart, 26.
Hey, move that motherfucker down, Doc. Get the pain to stop. It's going away now. It's going away. It's going away. Oh, I'm trying my best.
And you can talk to him. You can hear him talking to his doctor about the pain in that ankle. And the doctor is the one who is moving it right now to check on the range of motion.
Hurt in the back?
Yeah.
Hurts in the back. Yeah, Kelly Sanders where it hurts.
Yeah, that's it. Ooh, that's it.
Would you just stop that?
That bitch fell on my ankle, man.
All right. You ready? Come up on your right leg, all right?
All right.
Come on here.
Daryl Hart, you see him there. He had his ankle fallen on right there. Daryl Hart just now rolling over, number 26 in the dark jersey for Chicago, trying to get a handle on that football as a Detroit player literally rolled right over his foot. You know, when you're down there trying to retrieve that football, Roger, it's bouncing around. You're not paying attention to the people coming downfield. That's oftentimes where guys get hurt the worst. They're just not paying attention to what's going on around them.
So Daryl Hart trying to walk it off, and sometimes you can do that with an ankle. Everybody's different, but You know, Steve, you've had those where if you get up on it and get moving on it, you'll pay the price tomorrow, but you can finish out the game tonight.
Boy, but some of the things that you ask these guys especially to do, these receiver/defensive backs, I mean, they have to sprint and stop and start and cut, and that's the most painful thing you can do on a sore ankle.
Well, there have been more injuries in this game tonight than any other game that I can think of this year. And Hart will go sit down. Skipper is back in. He's number 42. Billy Stone's the running back. And Reggie Lewis. So Skipper and Lewis are hobbling. Stone's got a bad knee with a brace on it. Bennett finds Smith. And a penalty marker is thrown. Now it's going to be on Reggie Smith. You know, Reggie's got a bit of a problem. He really doesn't like to be hit, or he doesn't think he should be hit. And he really taunts the other players quite a bit.
And that's something that Perry Moss doesn't like to see. Perry wants his guys to stay calm, stay cool. There's the personal foul, the taunting. And I guarantee you that Tim Markham went to his players beforehand and said, you know this is going to happen. Hit him, but then when he takes a shot at you, do not retaliate.
See, he still had 1 foot in bounds. I mean, he didn't make a positive move to get himself out of bounds. That wasn't his move. He was going to kind of slide out. And, you know, when you're 5'6", though, and you play professional football, and this guy's done it in the NFL, he's done it in the semi-pro leagues, now in arena football, I guess you tend to have a bit of an attitude like that, don't you?
You've got to protect yourself because you know nobody else out there is going to.
That's Rich Ingold. Very confident quarterback. Why is it the championship games take so long, Steve?
I don't know. In a stadium as hot as this one is, like I said in the locker room, there are some players who are going to be tired.
Bennett to throw again. Nearly intercepted. Akins, the intended receiver. Evans, 44, was right there on him. And boy, when you get tired, it becomes tough to catch the football, doesn't it?
Now that's 2, I think, for Akins. I think he's looking around for Tate Randall or George LaFrance or somebody to hit him. Nobody was there. Akins should have had that reception.
Well, Detroit's defense has certainly proved it's been no fluke in the latter stages of this season. They were giving up over 40 points a game through the first 5 games. And after that, just over 20. As Bennett goes to Reggie Smith. And now a penalty marker. And I don't get that penalty marker because the man's trying to catch the football.
And you're trying to take him out of bounds.
And this is a contact game.
You know, sometimes you can look to protect too much. Also, the zone official has come running onto the field now. As another flag flew from the far sideline.
Tate Randall was the defensive player.
This is a contact. No, it's not. It's a hitting sport. Dancing is a contact sport.
Now, what's wrong with that?
Now, maybe that's the second hit, perhaps.
Well, what second hit? I mean, your momentum's taking you into the boards are there. They're a fact of life in this game.
29 is declined. Personal foul against the defense is accepted.
So they did call a personal foul on Tate Randall, and they also said he was in illegal defense.
It's football. Oh, it's football. Football.
Well, that was a bad call as far as the personal foul. Now, the illegal defense is another matter, but he was definitely in bounds as Akins goes in motion. 1st and 10 from the 15, and Bennett is nailed, and his knee is hurt.
Oh, my.
Bennett's left knee is hurt as 31, Alvin Reddick, came blowing through there, and Bennett's left knee buckled underneath of him.
Oh, my. And he's not moving. He is in a lot of pain. You could see Reddick just roll right over him.
All right. His left knee gave out here in a pocket.
You tell me when, Ben.
If you couldn't hear it, I heard Ben Bennett say to the trainer, he heard it pop.
Squeeze down on my hand. Straighten it out. You straighten it out? Yeah.
Dr. Chadwick Promodomus of the Chicago Bruisers.
Relax for me, all right? Relax. Keep her loose.
Man, I don't know if there are going to be enough players left for Chicago. Willie Totten the backup quarterback for the Chicago Bruisers, Totten, 6'3", 205 from Mississippi Valley State.
Just this morning, as we look at this replay, this is going to be an ugly sight, friends. Watch Reddick, 31, diving over, hits the foot and ankle, and just rolls right up on top of Ben Bennett. Ben had no place to go. And yet, he's able to walk off with some assistance. He's now getting off the field. But look once again, oh my. Hard to watch that. Said he felt it pop. Now, the trainer then.
Willie Totten's a backup, but Perry Moss did something for the game today, which he felt was a very wise move, and in lieu of what happened to Joe Herring in Pittsburgh last week.
That's right. He's brought on activated Cliff Madison, a third quarterback. Madison out of Whitworth College in Washington State. And he, too, may see action before the night's over. But right now, it's Willie Totten's job to try to bring Chicago back.
And Willie got a lot of playing time in that final regular season game in Los Angeles. And, of course, the legend of Mississippi Valley State. I mean, they would throw the football, what, about 60, 70 times a game on many occasions.
Well, when you had a receiver like Jerry Rice playing for you, which is who Totten was throwing to. I'll tell you, Roger, anybody who's ever played the game has been through what Ben Bennett's going through right now, and it is painful.
So Totten is in second down, and 18, Reggie Smith, the intended receiver, Tate Randall all over him, and basically saying, hey, Reggie, that's right in the middle of the field, pal. You're fair game. And Reggie didn't turn around at all that time.
Tate Randall, another one of those players that Tim Markham has brought in for his defensive ability, and he is a good defensive player. Played with the Colts for a while in the National Football League, as well as the Oilers, down in Miami with the Dolphins. Out of Texas Tech, he's a good one.
Third down now. Let's call it 16 as Smith limps in motion, literally. Going to Akins, and he can't make the catch. Tate Randall once again there defensively.
And there's Ben on the sidelines again, having that knee examined by the trainer and the doctor. Boy, with a vicious injury like that, you know, you can't imagine him ever trying to get back in this game tonight.
Yeah, Ben, I'm going to tug on it. I don't think this will hurt much. You got to relax,
Ben,
all right?
Relax. Squeeze here. Squeeze here.
And on a fourth down, 11:45 left to go in the third quarter. Morales will come on from the goal line out of the hold of Willie Totten. And this will be a 58-yard field goal attempt, but in reality, Steve, probably just trying to get it placed down there because there is no punting, of course, in arena football, and he's hooked that badly.
And once again, things that Chicago has not done wrong all season long, really getting to him tonight.
So the ball is going to be marked at the 10-yard line, and a timeout on the field, and Perry Moss, no cool customer right now. You can tell the heat's on. And Detroit leads 21-7.
But I've been waiting for a Bud Light.
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
Come on, let me show you the kitchen. You've seen the bedroom.
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
Roger Twybill, Steve Rabel back with you at the Rosemont Horizon. Believe me, folks, the clock runs continuously in this game. We have just been beset by a rash of injuries tonight. The latest to Ben Bennett, the Chicago quarterback. And there's a look at Ben, who's now up on the bench.
What a competitor. His coach, Perry Moss, has taught him an awful lot this season about playing quarterback, and they're taping that thing up. Who knows what Ben might try to do here in the third quarter.
1st and 10 for Detroit. They're going to Dixon. Intercepted by Rockmore. He's stripped from behind, but recovers his own fumble at midfield. And Markham's going, what about the zone defense?
That's exactly what he's doing. saying that Rockamore is playing center field. Here's the deep pass. There's Rockamore coming out of nowhere. Great catch. Good run back. Tuck that ball away because somebody's going to come up and knock it out of your hands. In fact, Wayne Dixon, who you were covering, he falls on the ball, but tell you what, Tim Markham is halfway out on the field now talking to the officials as Rockmore heads to the sideline.
His 12th interception of the year, and Totten is in there with Akins in motion. Penalty markers down, going to Akins, and it's overthrown. Willie Totten, who is, Steve mentioned, the quarterback for Jerry Rice at Mississippi Valley State. But you should remember, a tremendous player in his own right, as he averaged over 3 touchdown passes per game in college, and #2 all-time passing leader in NCAA history. So this guy has a lot of talent, played in the Canadian Football League for a couple of years. But other than that particular game against LA, hasn't seen that much time this year.
Illegal formation. The ineligible number did not report. Penalty decline. Second down.
We've seen that probably 4 times tonight.
4th time for the ineligible number.
And the problem for Chicago is they have 2 guys in there wearing numbers, number 90 and number 92. That would be Jeff Faulkner and Mike Clark, both of whom can be eligible numbers, but they're in there at the same time. So one of those guys has to report and let the official know that he is not the eligible receiver.
2nd down. Totten to Skipper. And Skipper, primarily a defensive player. You remember, he was hurt earlier in the game, got a dinger on his shoulder, and the ball just thrown a little bit behind him.
And a little bit, more than a little bit hard. There it is.
As I said, it was thrown just a little bit behind him.
That's right. Skipper just could not bring that ball down.
It was thrown through his hands and behind him.
Yeah. Totten, a strong arm, and he just rifled that shot.
3rd down and 10. And pass to Akins. Akins got his hands on it. You can see that ball take off. Totten is a strong arm passer. Boy, that Archie Cooley, the coach down at Mississippi Valley State, in Benham, Mississippi. And Totten has missed his first 5 pass attempts. And the Bruisers lead Arena football in points scored, averaging over 43 a game. They've got 7 tonight as Morales comes on out of the hold of Totten to attempt a 41-yard field goal. And whistles, penalty markers down. And that was good, but penalty markers are down.
That's going to go against Chicago because Clyde Skipper on this end jumped. The defense can jump a bit, but Skipper jumped into the neutral zone that time.
So Chicago's already had 1 touchdown called back tonight. So essentially 9 points now taken off the board because of penalties.
There's the procedure call against Chicago. You know, we talked a moment ago, Roger, about Chicago scoring more points a game than any team in the league. Of course, they've been able to avoid injuries much of the season, and it seems to have caught up with them tonight. Receiver after receiver goes down. Reggie Smith is injured, and now Ben Bennett's out of the game.
44-yard attempt. Morales hooks that one. Live ball. LaFrance will cover it in the end zone. And Detroit will have it 1st and 10 from their 5-yard line with 8:39 to go in the 3rd quarter. And the drive continues to dodge bullets after a lot of penalty calls.
Pushing hard, breaking through, 'cause good isn't good enough for you. Wash and go.
It's shampoo plus conditioner in one. For control you can't get from ordinary shampoo.
You got it together.
Hair's clean, easy to manage.
Ready to roll. Wash and go.
Shampoo, conditioner in one.
Hurt Plus.
Ooh, it's hot.
ESPN heats up your summer in and out of the water with Hot Tuesday nights. Each week, pro surfers take you on a ride you'll never forget. Professional water skiers scorch the surface with treacherous jumps, then hit the beach for a potpourri of red-hot fun. Hot Tuesday nights sizzle each week at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN.
Ooh, it's hot.
portrait of frustration. Ben Bennett, selected yesterday as the most valuable player in arena football, with not a very good night, and then it turned into a disaster when Alvin Reddick, blitzing, dove over Billy Stone, landed on his left knee, and Bennett out of the game, but now on his feet and moving about. 1st and 10 for Detroit. Griffin in motion. They'll run it. Holman is in there, and Stone drives him into the board. And I got to tell you what, folks, you heard it. We don't have to say anything.
Remember, this is the guy with a hyperextended elbow, and he took that elbow into the boards with the help of Billy Stone. Watch Stone, number 32, in the dark jersey, come right down the line. Boom.
I don't care how much padding's on there. That hurts.
You feel it.
2nd down. Now, this is Detroit. They'll let the clock run. They got the 30-second clock. They'll let it go. They're going to use some time. They lead 21-7, 7:40 left to go, 3rd quarter. Evans in motion. 2nd and 9. And Ingold gets rid of it. And they're going to say he was down. Ingold, on his drop, ran into Walter Holman.
He fell down. The question was, did a defender get a hand on him?
I didn't see a defender touch him.
Neither did I. And if no defender touched him, then he has every right to get up and make that throw.
That's not piling on at all.
Well, they're going to give it to Detroit right there, say he was down. You know, here's an interesting point, Roger, to bring up. We've talked about Bennett being out of the game. One more time, you can see Ingold falling down. Okay, so Stone must have gone
Nobody
by.
touched him.
Well, the official must have seen Stone, perhaps. He's the only one that was even in the neighborhood. Go by and get even a rush on him.
3rd down, 13. Only 2 seconds on the 30-second clock. Oh, it was very close to not getting it off. Griffin makes the catch, and he gets to the 10-yard line.
The point I wanted to make a moment ago about Ben Bennett being out of the game. Ben doesn't play defense. He's strictly the quarterback. The defense now is going to have to rally. The guys on that field now will have to rally because he can't play probably anymore tonight. As you can see, he's shaking his head back and forth, and I think he's saying it's still a little bit unstable. I know he'd like to go out there, but the defense is going to have to make the big plays right now and give Willie Totten a chance to score some points.
Sprained left knee, and the word is he's definitely out, but he's trying to sell his case as Bojovic will attempt the field goal, make this a 55-yard attempt, and a return by Clyde Skipper. And Wiska nailed him into the boards, and a Detroit player is down on the field at the 9-yard line, and it's Bojovic, the kicker, and he's up, and Bojovic, I think he was just playing possum. What do you think, Steve?
Well, he might have gotten stung just a bit. Now, look at him. He's laughing on the field. Look at him.
Yeah, but you've heard about the guy that laughs before he dies, right? I mean, Novo's with us, but he's not with us. All right, we'll be right back.
May I point out our special offer, 2 pizzas for the price of 1.
Oh, thank you very much.
Excuse me, your shoelace is untied.
Oh. Yes, I'd like that 2-for-1 offer.
I'm sorry, that offer has expired.
But I just bent over to tie my shoelaces.
He did. He bent over.
There's nothing I can do.
Show him your shoelaces.
Some pizza places have temporary 2-for-1 offers. At Little Caesars, you always get
Pizza, pizza.
2 great pizzas for 1 low price.
Roger Twyble, Steve Rabel with you at the Rosemont Horizon. 15,018 on hand. I'll tell you what, it's a hot time in the old town tonight because this place is cooking. Literally. Oh, it's hot. Totten is nailed, and they're going to say he was within the grasp. And I don't know about that. Reggie Mathis, you know, they want to protect the quarterback. This is the double-edged sword here, Steve. You want to protect the guy, but Totten was able to get out of the grasp and pick up about 10 yards. Boy, look at Perry Moss. He's usually so calm and cool and collected.
Even Perry Moss, who doesn't perspire, is soaking wet tonight because of this one. All right, watch Totten. He's in the grasp. If the officials are going to call that, then you've got to be consistent about it, and that's what the officials doing. The fans here sure don't like it. But if you're going to protect that quarterback, otherwise, let him play, in which case quarterback's on his own.
Second down now, and 17 from the 1, nearly intercepted by Tate Randall.
There's Tate, number 29, almost picking that pass off intended for McDade, and I don't think McDade, number 20, ever saw the ball coming. At least he wasn't sure where it was as Tate tips it away. Had he been able to come down with that, he might have scored as well for Detroit.
You know, unlike any other position in this league except for the place kicker, the quarterback usually plays the whole game, okay? Totten hasn't had that much work. He's nailed. That ball was thrown up for grabs, and Totten has 3 players on him. Mathis was one of them. Relk was another one. And Corker was also in there, number 88.
Remember what Tim Markham told us this morning? In the 3rd and 4th quarters, they've got to keep the pressure on. He said, we want to keep the tempo up because this Chicago team is bigger than his Detroit team. And he said, we'll wear them out if we can just keep the tempo up. And look at the wild men from Detroit coming full speed at Totten.
The point I'm trying to make is everybody on the team gets a lot of playing time except the backup quarterback.
Exactly.
And especially indoors. They practice outdoors, folks. They don't practice indoors. And some contact on the line between Reggie Mathis and 93 for Chicago. That's Mike McCurry.
Clyde Skipper also moving. That's the second time Skipper has moved up there.
The thing is, Steve, when you come indoors and you played in the Kingdom, it's a much different effect from outside. You can take a lot of snaps on a big field, but especially when you get on a small field like this, Totten's at a real disadvantage.
Oh, there's no question about it. And probably the smartest thing Perry Moss ever did, I'm sure he didn't do it just for this reason, but was to get Totten some playing time in the final game of the season against Los Angeles after they'd already had.
Totten is at the back of the end zone. A penalty marker is down, and Morales hooks it into the stands. Now, Morales has told me on more than one occasion he's very confident drop kicking. In that situation, that's a perfect time to use the drop kick rather than the place kick.
Now, it looks like the penalty is going to go against Detroit as I see some of the Chicago players clapping. So all it'll do is give them maybe an extra 1.5 to 2 yards in the back of the end zone.
3:25 left to go in the 3rd quarter. We've had more than our share of penalties, more than our share of injuries. And the penalty was on Detroit. And look at where Morales is.
He just can't get far enough away from that football.
So they move it 3 yards up. It's still 4th down. And that ball is hooked out of bounds also.
And now we watch the official who's going to walk up the field and spot that ball.
You know, I'd say one thing about this game, and I've talked to several kickers, Morales in particular. Morales feels very confident with the drop kick, but his coach doesn't let him do it. And there's a couple of examples where maybe the kicker knows best. 21-7, Detroit leads it.
You've got this all wrong. You want to make news of the cereal today, you need a gimmick. Putting a whole banana inside a little bran biscuit, stuff like that. These are just flakes. I don't think I've tasted anything like it. Simple, light, it's really very good. Well, how about that? A cereal that doesn't need a gimmick.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Corn Flakes?
Taste them again for the first time.
Ben Bennett's warming up on the sidelines, so we've seen a couple of players come back from injuries tonight. Bennett, I'm sure if they've got some kind of knee brace that they could put on him, is getting warmed up. Detroit has the football now. 2:59 to go in the 3rd. 1st and 10 at the 13-yard line. Pass completed to LaFrance. Exceptional speed for this receiver out of Baker University in Baldwin, Kansas, just south of Lawrence, where the University of Kansas is located.
And you've got to give him a lot of room because a couple of times we've seen him run that hook, and then he turns it upfield on the hook and go, and there's nobody that's going to stay with him. 9 touchdowns on the year for George LaFrance, who, as we mentioned earlier, is going to get a shot with the Packers this year. We have a Detroit player down.
It looks like it's Dixon.
And it may be just cramps.
Yeah, it's a right calf muscle. They're out there. Steve, this is a long season. They're their 14th game. two-way football. Perry Moss told us today, he says he thinks this is as many games as you can take out of these players. Tim Markham felt that his players, could go some more.
And that's interesting because Markham's players were hurt worse.
Well, they've got the fanometer on now for how much noise can be made here. And I'm telling you, a lot of noise can be made. A lot of heat can be generated.
And a lot of guys down on that field getting a lot of tired. Dwayne Dixon, I saw him in the locker room, had literally stripped down his shirt, shoulder pads, T-shirt, everything that he had on was soaking wet. The inside of that locker room was wet in there, Roger. The guys were so hot, and it's that way down on the field.
Second down in inches for Detroit. 2:15 to go, third quarter. They're going to throw it, and Griffin makes the catch. He's inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. Akins, number 84, over on the tackle, but that's a call I love. Second and short. You used to get open on that, didn't you?
I used to get open all the time. They just never threw it to me. There you can see Griffin, just a little flare, a little delay route coming off the line. Little move. Good play, picks up the first down yardage, and most importantly for Detroit, they retain possession of the ball. They keep moving, and they keep it out of the hands of Chicago, who, regardless of the quarterback, has the receivers, the big play guys, to get back in the game.
Detroit has been a team that's fashioned a lead during this 8-game winning streak, then would hold on as Ingold is dumped. Back at the 22-yard line, two men were back there. Number 50 for Chicago, Billy Poe out of Morehead State, and also 93, Mike McCurry from the University of Indiana.
And credit the secondary for Chicago on that one. That was a secondary sack because Ingold had no place to go to throw the ball. What he should have done was throw it away. Tim Markham sends a play back in with Rich Ingold. Ingold comes to the sideline between every play. That even gets tiring after a while.
Less than a minute to go, third quarter. Chicago's a team that's come from behind all year. 8 of their 11 wins have been come from behind victories. So they're both in very comfortable positions right now. As Ingold almost has it intercepted by Akins, and he had nothing but artificial turf in front of him. Perry Moss told us this morning, Steve, do you remember? He says, I just want to be within a touchdown or two going into the fourth quarter.
Well, he is there. Very nearly was within a touchdown. If Akins can make that catch, that's 3 times that we've seen Akins get the ball in his hands and just unable to hang on to it.
And Bennett's waiting to come in, but Detroit in all likelihood will let the clock wind down. They don't have to run a play here before the third quarter ends, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Just catch a little extra breath. Anytime you can buy in this game.
And anytime you can take off of the clock to keep your opponent from getting the ball back in the fourth quarter will help.
We've completed 3 quarters of play in Arena Bowl 88. Detroit leads Chicago 21-7. We'll be back for the final 15 in a moment.
Come on, everybody, Bud Light's got a brand new dance. Bud McKenzie's gonna do it. There's nothing to it to the Bud Light slide. We'll tell left and right when the music's hot. Have a cold Bud Light to the Bud Light slide.
Bud McKenzie parties with only Bud Light. He knows everything else is just a light.
Have a cold Bud Light to the Bud Light slide.
Ah, the natives are restless, building appetites at a fever pitch. It's summer hunger. Unleash it at Burger King. Enormous summertime sandwiches, big burgers, a huge flame-broiled Whopper, icy cold Pepsi. Summer hunger. When it strikes, only Burger King can tame it.
Must be feeding time.
We do it like you do it at Burger King.
Greg Louganis tops the list of America's finest in a showdown before the U.S. Olympic diving trials. It's the National Outdoor Diving Championship, Monday night at 9 Eastern on ESPN.
One way to find a job is to look in publications. Lots of publications.
Any luck?
Well, I've got newspapers, magazines, trade papers,
Find anything yet?
newsletters, phone books, you name it.
There's a better way to find a better job.
Honey, look at this.
The National Business Employment Weekly.
It's published by the Wall Street Journal. It lists hundreds of high-paying jobs all across the country.
Now, what about managerial jobs?
Managerial, professional, technical, sales like mine. It even has articles on interviewing, writing a better resume, and how to succeed once you get the job.
What am I doing with all of these now that I have the National Business Employment Weekly?
Pick up the National Business Employment Weekly at a newsstand or call 800-372-3000 and receive 8 issues by first-class mail for only $35. 800-372-3000. The National Business Employment Weekly.
Don't make a career move.
Roger Twyville, Steve Rabel back with you. The fourth quarter of this Arena Bowl, 88, third down, and 18 for the Detroit Drive. Let's call it 19. Rich Ingold, who has never beaten the Chicago Bruisers as a quarterback in Arena football, is dumped. Faulkner with his second sack of the night, his 9th on the year.
With a little help from Billy Stone, but again, the secondary doing a good job. You can see the pump fake. Absolutely no chance this time for Ingold. As he hits his back foot, he is smothered by not one but 2 players. And Stone says, yeah, we got him. We got him on the ropes. Well, not quite on the ropes.
In the third quarter, Chicago had 0 yards total offense. And Bojovic will attempt the field goal. 51 yards on the attempt. Nearly blocked, and I believe Clark got a piece of it. Reggie Smith, the top kick return man in Arena football, across the 15 to the 18-yard line. And Ben Bennett, look at him limping on the field. And I don't know, Steve. The guy might have a lot of guts, but you got to be smart, too.
He can't bend his knee. He's going to come out here and stiff-leg it his way on the field. He can't bend his knee, but I'll tell you something. When a guy like him comes back into the game, it sure fires up his teammates.
And it's fired up the crowd, and maybe that's part of it, too. A low-scoring championship game. The Bruisers have outscored their opponents 127-90 in the fourth quarter. 150-92 in the third quarter. The second half is where they have dominated this year. Smith makes the reception near side, inside the 20. 17-yard line. Alvin Reddick makes the tackle, and the crowd is into this thing right now.
Well, Ben can drop back with a stiff leg if he's not going to get hit every play. So it's incumbent upon his linemen to protect him with everything they've got, because he's a fine passer, a fine pocket passer. He can stand in there and throw the ball. It's just, is he going to get the protection from his linemen?
Clock will continue to run. 13:15 left to go. The final minute of the game, the clock will stop on incomplete passes and out of bounds. Bennett got that left knee hit again. The pass is complete to Skipper at the 10-yard line as Bennett is hanging in on sheer guts right now.
Watch him drop back, and once again, he's going to get rolled into by his own player. Oh, my. How this guy can pick himself up off the ground and keep going, I have no idea. Almost exactly the same way he heard it initially. Skipper reaches, climbs the ladder to make the catch.
Well, you know, maybe the thing has been stretched enough already that a hit like that's not going to bother you. Stone, touchdown. Ten-yard touchdown run by Billy Stone on the draw play right up the middle.
Bruiser time at the Rosemont horizon. Stone bounces off of 1, 2, 3, 4 players and gets in the end zone for 6.
He's 5'10", 215. He's a rock out of Adams State in Colorado. And the big block thrown up front by 90 Mike Clark that got him the space to run as Morales for the point after. and it's no good. That's a big miss there. Well, Jovic said before tonight's game he's got something to prove. He felt he should have been the first-team kicker. Answer it! He's made all 3 of his extra points, and with 11:31 left to go, Detroit leads it 21-13.
Hi there. You looking for Mr. Wright?
Give this guy a light. And Bud Light here.
Ask for Bud Light, the light beer with the first name and taste. Because everything else is just a light.
Thanks. Keep the change.
Now, the final chapter, students, in Bosworth's book of etiquette, personal hygiene. I suggest the maximum protection of new Right Guard Sports Stick from Gillette. Antiperspirant and deodorant. Anything less would be uncivilized.
Roger Twyville, Steve Rabel back with you. Willie Totten was 0 for 7. They didn't have any yards offensively in the third quarter. And Bennett, with a dramatic reappearance on the field, got the crowd, obviously his teammates, back into it. And they moved down to score, and it's 21-13. And as Perry Moss said today, I just want to be within a touchdown or 2 going into the fourth quarter. We feel comfortable from that position. And Detroit, in this situation, all year they have been building big leads and then coasting on to the win in the second half. It's going to be interesting to see if Markham can hold on with that philosophy.
Yeah, no coasting here for Detroit tonight.
LaFrance off the net, and he's going to sit on it.
And that play was made not only by LaFrance, but that was made by his teammate David Evans, too, 44, who wisely told him to get down on the ground.
Well, I think Ben would probably tell you that maybe he wasn't the smartest guy that ever came down the pike in a lot of situations. But you know what? He's a leader. I mean, for him to come back out, Steve, you know a lot of quarterbacks who would never even thought about it.
No, there's a lot of coaches, too, that would not give their kid an opportunity to get out there. But he and Perry Moss have grown very close over this season.
Over 11 minutes left to go. Ingold, Scott Griffin, across the 10 to 11. Pickup of 6 on the play, as Durwood Rockmore, like a number of these players, are going to have an awful long year because they're going to go to the NFL, the training camps at least.
Nice catch by Griffin, sticking those hands out there and making the reception. In the game for Chicago, Osei Lewis is back in, number 82, the linebacker. He went out injured earlier. We didn't think we'd see him again.
Clark is limping off, and that's oh so familiar for Detroit. They build up a big first half lead, and if you take a look at their numbers, they're almost opposite of Chicago. Chicago outscoring their opponents by a wide margin in the second half. Detroit outscoring their opponents by a wide margin in the first half. Second down, pass might have been tipped. Faulkner might have gotten a piece of it. Osei Lewis was also there on a second down. And that'll make it third down now and about 4 for Rich Ingold.
Called the toss to the near sideline. So look for the pitch. That's right. He can whisper all he wants. He's trying to be heard by his quarterback over the roar of this crowd. But we can hear him. Look for the toss to the near sideline.
9:45 left to go. Third down and 4. Fumble. And Ingold is able to come up with it. He was a little anxious right there, Steve.
You can't pitch it, you can't toss it until you get the snap from center. That's the first thing you have to do.
That's a big play right there because at 21-13, if they could have established something on this drive, he just never ever had a handle on it. Faulkner was right there on it.
Faulkner very well could have come up with that football, and now we're really talking about turning this thing around because Chicago would then have, 7 yards to score. As it is, at least Detroit has an opportunity to kick it out of their own end zone.
Bojovic will place it at the 1-yard line. So, in essence, a 57-yard attempt, but he's just trying to get it to the corner. Reggie Smith will have plenty of room to bring it back. And Reggie, you can tell, just not 100%, is dropped at the 9-yard line by Kim Stevens. And Reggie limping as he gets up. But Chicago's back in this football game with 8:49 left to go.
Yes, I'd like 2 of those pizzas.
Those pizzas? They'll be $17.99.
$17.99? But it says $10.99.
Not for those pizzas.
How can that be?
I think if you refer to the fine print.
Fine print?
Does not render vendor responsible.
May I help you?
Who are you? I'd like to introduce our corporate attorney. He's here on a regular basis.
No, I'm not surprised.
At Little Caesars, you always get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price.
Pizza, pizza.
Only at Little Caesars.
Cooperstown, a special place honoring baseball's legends. Now, Willie Pop Stargell joins baseball's elite at the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. Tomorrow afternoon at 3 Eastern, live on ESPN.
Roger Twibel and Steve Rabel back with you at the Rosemont Horizon as the Detroit Drive holding a 21-13 lead over the Chicago Bruisers. The 2 previous games that these 2 teams played, 11 points separated the Bruisers and the Drive, both Chicago victories, and Ben Bennett injured early in the 3rd quarter, now back in the game. 1st and 10 from the 9-yard line. Skipper, the intended receiver, and yes, it is complete at the 16. As you take a look at Bennett dropping back, the only thing we'll say about that left knee is that being right-handed, he plants on the right leg. And, hey, if that was the other knee, he'd be in a lot of trouble. If that was the right knee right now, I doubt if he'd be playing.
Well, I just can't imagine, you know, and again, we both had knee injuries before, how painful that must be just to be pulling away from center. To try to be settling back there to plant and come up throwing, knowing that you're going to get hit again, and you've got a bum leg on
Well, as long as all he has to do is drop straight back, he's fine. If he's got to move laterally, fumble! Penalty marker down, and Detroit has recovered. Orton recovers the fumble.
It looked as though Chicago wanted to run to their sideline because the linemen just pulled away as quickly as they could. And, yep, it's going to go against Detroit. So the fumble recovery is nullified. Chicago retains possession.
Defense, still 2nd down.
And they say it was offside. Reggie Mathis.
In the neutral zone when the ball is snapped, you can't do it. And you could see how Ben Bennett's leg, when he's backing up to drop a pass, he can do it. But when that ball came out of his hands, there was no way he was going to get to the ground in time to recover that fumble.
Look at the penalties tonight. 19 penalties. Win a championship game. 1st down and 10. Bennett going up top. Nearly intercepted by Tate Randall. And he does a chin-up as he goes underneath the nets.
And there are a couple of Detroit cheerleaders down at that end zone who wanted nothing to do with those big nets hanging up there. Here's Bennett. He's just going to let it fly. Once again, we see once the ball is released from the quarterback, those other defensive backs can leave their men and go to the ball, and that's what Tate Randall did, chasing that ball down, also helping out back there, 44, David Evans.
Bennett with the pump fake.
He's watching, limping. Be careful, Ben. Don't even jump up and down.
Clock continues to run. 6:39 left to go in the game. 2nd and 10. Akins in motion. Quick out to Reggie Smith. And he's not able to hold on to it. Look at that big thigh pad on the right side.
Barry Moss sending a play in with the littlest guy in professional football, Reggie Smith. Again, this guy walked on every place he ever played.
North Carolina Central.
Right, college, professional football. He's always been a walk-on. Had some good years with the Falcons as one of the top punt returners in the NFL for a while. But he's playing banged up tonight.
Severely bruised thigh for Reggie Smith. Less than 6 minutes to go. 3rd down and 10. Bennett under a lot of pressure. And Akins nearly made the catch. Tate Randall, who's played a whale of a game tonight. You know, it's interesting. The guys, Steve, that have been around the game, the guys that have played in pressure games, Tate Randall's been a good, solid player for Detroit since he came over. But stripping the ball away right there, you see it every week.
Yep. Akins had it in his hands. It would have been a great catch had he been able to hang on to that thing because of the way it was pulled away. But there's Bennett knocked down once again.
John Relk was the guy putting the pressure on him. Now, this is going to be a 4th down situation, and they'll go for it. Now, they conceivably need 3 at some point in time. 4th down and 10. Bennett going to Skipper. He drops it. And Bennett's down, courtesy of Reggie Mathis, the Chattanooga Choo-Choo.
Oh, Clyde. Clyde got a hand on it. The young man from Oregon Tech, a defensive player, picked up on waivers from Los Angeles. Here's the pass. Stretch out, Clyde. He got a hand on it. It was on the end of his fingertips, and he couldn't bring it in.
He doesn't have those soft hands like you receivers. He's got those hands like a defensive back.
I don't know about like us receivers. That would have been a tough catch for anybody to make.
4:48 left to go. 21-13. The Detroit drive now with good field position at the 20.
Running the shit up of there. Or the center. You think so? Yeah. Who got it on? He's rushing up the field like
John?
a wild man. No. I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like to leave this guy out here and run so he thinks, you know, he's got to get quit. I'd like to run off.
He'll get involved with it.
There
There we go.
go.
All right, listen up. Let's go. All right, let's just throw it then. Let's just throw it. R straight. I want R go. R go. 3 sides.
Tim Markham, the head coach. Jim Bates, his assistant. Bates, formerly head coach at San Antonio of the USFL, where Markham was his assistant.
Bates said, I'd like to see you run the ball a little bit. Markham says, okay, that's it. I'm head coach. We're going to throw it.
4:28 left to go. Griffin in motion. They're going to Corker. And intercepted by Skipper. And Skipper is brought down at the 19. So he goes from GOAT to hero.
The pass intended in the end zone for Corker on the tight end deep pattern. And Skipper stayed with it, not fooled at all.
Well, you could see Ingold thrown off his back foot as he had a lot of pressure from Faulkner that time. And Skipper on the ground makes the grab.
Great interception.
Don't go away. We'll be right back to Chicago.
What can you expect when you invest at Schwab? Ask a Schwab customer.
I'm looking for quick response and accuracy. I call Schwab and often get my market orders confirmed while I'm still on the phone. I like the fact that there's no sales pressure. For me, Schwab simply delivers good service, good value.
For a free booklet, call 800-237-4400. That's 800-237-4400.
Well, you're the kind of man that likes to do things your own way. And you can bet it's right when you get through. Ooh, and there's a beer that always fits right in your hand. 'Cause you're a bud man, and this bud's for you. Oh, you do. This bud's for you.
21-13, 4:12 left to go, 4th quarter. You heard it on the sidelines. Jim Bates, the assistant, said, why don't we run some? Markham, the head coach, goes, let's go and throw it. They threw it. It cost them. And Chicago now 1st and 10 from their 19. Bennett having a hard time getting a handle. Intercepted. Steve Griffin makes the interception at the 22-yard line. That time, Bennett had a hard time getting a handle on it and overthrew Reggie Smith.
And it makes Tim Markham not only happy, but look good, too. Like, oh, okay, so we gave the ball up. Our defense will get it back, and Griffin did just that. Ben, as you said, bobbled the ball, came up throwing. It sailed behind Reggie Smith, and there was Griffin right on the spot. Now, what Chicago was arguing was that he was out of bounds, did not have control of the ball. Only 1 foot has to be in. Let's watch 22. Boy, his tippy toe on that white line.
2nd interception for Griffin this year. He makes the catch, and he'll have to be considered for our Iron Man of the of the game as Griffin's down at the 16. Now the clock continues to run.
Mike McDade came up with the ball for Chicago, but the officials are going to call it down at about the 16-yard line. One more time, let's look at the tippy toe of the right foot of Griffin.
Well, maybe his heel came down first.
Well,
that's a tough call for the official right there.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're looking at that from behind now. Remember, there's another angle on the other side. So from here, it looks like he did step on it. We could be looking from the other side, and there could be some space. The official was right there in front of him. But it was very close nonetheless. 2:30 left to go. Ingold near side, Griffin again. I'll tell you, Griffin's done a super job tonight, both offensively and defensively. Steve Griffin, you're looking at him, number 22 right there. 6 foot, 190-pounder from Purdue University.
Played with the Commandos last season, so he's experienced in arena football.
7 players in that Detroit team from Washington of a year ago.
Some of these Detroit receivers are coming back to the huddle and saying, boy, Rich, if you could just get that ball down a little bit, because you've been making us climb the ladder, and my ribs are already sore. But Ingalls, he is not a big guy. He's a little short guy back there trying to throw over those big Chicago rushing linemen.
First and goal, 1:45 left to go. Reddick, Alvin Reddick inside the 5 to the 4. A penalty marker is down.
Well, I don't know who's going to get called for the penalty here, but Steve Griffin just had a great block. It's going to be a hold against Detroit, so they'll back him up. But number 22, who we've been talking about now, Steve Griffin. Here's the pitch to Reddick. And look, everybody on Detroit's on the move. Hard to tell where the hold is. You saw Griffin block one guy. There he is pushing aside Stone, the second guy.
Well, that's a super job there. So that penalty, a loss of down for the Detroit Drive. And a timeout being called by Chicago. Timeout being called by Chicago with 1:36 left to go in this football game. Perry Moss, the head coach of the Chicago Bruisers. And we'll take a timeout ourselves with 1:36 remaining. Detroit has the leading by 8.
What's the best brokerage account for an active investor? Ask a Schwab customer.
With my Schwab One asset management account, my money's never idle. When I sell a stock or I get a dividend, my cash instantly starts earning income. And it keeps on earning until I make my next investment.
When I need to get to my cash or take out a loan, I just use my Schwab Visa or write a check. Schwab One makes it easy.
All my financial moves are right here. And one simple statement. Now, you might expect to pay a lot of money for an account this handy, and not with Schwab One. There's no monthly fee. Now, that's real value.
To get your free booklet and an application for the Schwab One Asset Management account, call toll-free 800-342-6200. That's 800-342-6200. Call now for your free Schwab One book.
Roger Twyble, Steve Rabel back with you. 21-13. Detroit leads it by 8. 1:36 left. They have the football at the 12-yard line. It is 2nd and goal. Tim Markham, the head coach of the Detroit Drive.
This team right here, man, does not hold. They don't hold, do they?
Well, Tim obviously voicing his displeasure with holding calls not being called against Chicago. Running play inside the 10. And that is Alvin Reddick again. Reddick getting a lot of duty at running back tonight as Chicago will take their second timeout, so they have one left.
Do is walk around it.
And this is the time
worry about
of game.
Tell him to not worry about it.
That tests a coach's patience.
Third down.
The touchdown.
Go right.
Left, grip, fade to Dwayne. If you don't get it, nobody gets it. I'll make sure you don't.
21 is going to be over there on it, okay?
See, on the Dwayne over here.
Left, rip. Yeah, okay.
Okay, throw the fade, throw it to him.
So what's happening right there is Ingold wants to go to Dixon. Rockmore is going to be defensive. The defensive man covering. And Ingold said, don't worry about it. If Dwayne doesn't get it, nobody will get it, which means that Ingold's going to throw it away if he can't find Dixon, and he better throw it to his left or his right into the stands and not off the net. It's third down and goal from the 9-yard line. 1:29 left to go in this game. And the important thing here is for Ingold, if he can't get the ball to Dixon, to make sure he either throws it in the ground or he gets it into the stands, not off the net like we saw earlier this year when Harold Smith for New England threw one into the net and Pittsburgh took it in for a touchdown. There's Ingold throwing it up and incomplete, and a penalty marker's down, and Steve Rabel picks it up in the corner of the end zone.
How about that, Roger? My first time I get my hands on the football, and it's another incompletion. Story of my life.
.124 left. Penalty is against Chicago, lining up offsides in the neutral zone. Steve, they might be coming right at you there. You better stay loose.
Trust me, I shall protect myself. These legs may be old, but I still have a little something in them. Tell you what, those guys, when they came down here into the corner of the end zone just a moment ago, wasn't a lot of spring left in those legs when they went up trying to make the reception on that pass. We've got two tired teams down here, Roger.
Steve, Chicago has just taken their last time out with 1:21 left to go, and third down and goal from the 6-yard line. Boy, everything that Chicago had avoided throughout the year happened tonight. The injuries, the turnovers, but nonetheless, they were in a position 21-13, and they're still in a position, if they can hold Detroit here, of possibly tying this football game.
You know, you talk about the pressure being on one of the teams. Hey, I think it's on Detroit more so than Chicago. Chicago's behind. They know they got to get the ball back and score, but it's incumbent upon Detroit to hang on to that football, not make any mistakes, and give it up in a silly fashion to Chicago to give them that opportunity. That's why you're going to see Ingold throw the ball out of sight if none of his receivers can get to it.
Isn't it funny, in such a high-scoring game as arena football is, teams averaging over 40 points a game, it never fails. You come to a championship game, it doesn't matter whether it's the NFL, the CFL, ArenaBowl, it's always a low-scoring contest. Pitch back to Reddick. And Reddick inside the 5 to the 3-yard line, and they'll let the clock wind its way down to the 1-minute mark, and Novo Bojovic will come on to attempt the field goal. And there we are, 1 minute left to go.
Take a look once again at the run here. Here comes Reddick. He's going to try to jump over the pile, and look at 32. Stone meets him right there. No further penetration by Reddick on that play because of Billy Stone, number 32, the fine linebacker, last year's Ironman winner of the year in arena football. Showing again the best abilities to go both ways, play offense and defense. That was Billy Stone. This year, it's a player for Detroit who we have seen out here tonight, had a great game, Dwayne Dixon. And a couple of other guys step into the picture for the Ironman Award this evening, Steve Griffin being one.
Markham out on the field, cheering his troops on. It is fourth down. They have an 8-point lead. Bojovic is 0 for 5 in field goal attempts, and really, Steve, only one legitimate attempt of 28 yards. The others were 50, 55, 50, and 57. He's 3 out of 3 on the extra points. This is right in his range, however, from the left side of the field. Is that going to cause a problem for him?
I don't think so. He does have a tendency to hook, and so sometimes you overcompensate by pushing that ball too far one way or the other. But he had this kind of maniacal smile on his face, as only kickers have. He looks pretty confident.
17-yard field goal attempt. He got it.
Play your ass off, Ellis. Play your ass off. Play your ass off. That's so money.
He's just a good old boy, Rabel, you know?
Hey, you think he's happy or what? Well, this guy goes down in the record books in 56 seconds if Detroit hangs on as winning the first 2 ArenaBowl championships.
And Detroit leads at 24-13. Chicago is out of timeouts. Now, 56 seconds left, but remember the clock will stop on out of bounds and incomplete passes. So Chicago could come down, they score a touchdown, 2 points, remember, on the drop kick extra point. So conceivably an 8-point play could give them a 3-point disadvantage. So it'd be 24-21, and then they would have to hope to get a play off the net or something of that effect. In essence, they still got a shot, Steve.
They do have a shot. There's always a shot. And that's what makes coaching such an interesting profession, is that you have to believe, Roger, that there's always an opportunity for you. Perry Moss in no way is going to give this game up yet with 56 seconds left to go.
Well, Darrell Taylor, number 40, is back for his first play of the game. Bojovic's kick high off the net, and here comes Taylor. And he is dragged down at the 5-yard line. Number 88, John Corker, was all the way downfield. And I got to tell you what, Steve, he just like picked him out of the air and just threw him to the side. And number 66 for Chicago on that kickoff, Joe Fox.
Right on my face.
On your face?
Yeah.
What can you feel?
My fingertips are fucking tingling, everything.
When he landed on his face, his fingertips are tingling and stuff. Go back. Stay there. Stay right where you're at.
He threw it out by my fucking face.
What's the matter?
He threw it out.
Well, Joe Bach is hurt. He came down on his head, on his face, and he said his hands and his feet were tingling. That is not a good sign. And that's why the training staff and the physicians don't want to move Joe Bach any more than is necessary right now until they find out what the problem is. But again, this has been epidemic for Chicago tonight, these injuries, Roger.
I'll tell you what, Steve, everybody's going to love tomorrow and then the next week, because this game has been the most physical game that we've seen this year. It's been the most injury-plagued game. And with 53 seconds left to go, Chicago with one more player down. And as we mentioned, 40, the man who returned that kickoff, Darrell Taylor, 5'9", 180 from Lincoln University in Missouri, getting his first action tonight. Chicago literally running out of bodies.
And Ben Bennett is not going to come onto the field with his offensive group. Willie Totten is going to try to take this team downfield and score. Bach remains on the field, lying face down. I just looked into the huddle for Chicago, and Gene Rowell, who was in training camp with me, Roger, for the Seahawks back in 1981. So Gene Rowell, no kid, the center, number 60 for Chicago, looked over at me and just kind of shook his head as if to say, man, this is the toughest thing I've ever been through. Seahawk training camp or not, he is one tired guy out there.
They're not going to take any chances with Joe Bach. They'll bring the stretcher out whenever a player says they've got some tingling in the hands, tingling in the feet. He said he hit face first on this artificial turf. They're going to take every precaution, as we saw with Mike Hohensee last week, and they'll put him on the stretcher to take him away.
Well, it's something you hate to see, injuries in any football game, any sport. And we sure have seen our share tonight. And unfortunately for the Bruisers, it's for the most part been them. And I mean serious-looking injuries. Guys helped off the field right and left. Ben Bennett, who comes back. Remember last week, Brendan Fulmer for Pittsburgh did the very same thing. Was able to come back after being literally knocked unconscious. Nobody thinking about injuries on the Detroit sideline, though. They're looking at a bonus for winning the ArenaBowl championship, again, if they hang on. What a story, too. This Detroit team, again, after a 2-3 start, 8 straight wins. They really were the team coming in here on the roll tonight, Roger.
This would be, of course, their 9th consecutive victory, and the last time they lost was to the Chicago Bruisers. They lost consecutive games to Chicago, and then they beat the Pittsburgh Gladiators in Detroit, and that's what got them started on their winning streak. And their defense, Steve, has been remarkable during the first 6 games of that winning streak. they did not allow an offensive touchdown in the first half to their opposition. And in this game, that's really unusual.
And, you know, because that defense controlled the other team, it gave guys like Rich Ingold, who we were just watching a moment ago, a chance to move up and down the field, a chance to control the ball. And Detroit did what it had to do offensively and played with that extraordinarily swarming defense to propel them into this game tonight. And as it stands now, going to win this Arena Bowl championship.
24-13 is the score with 53 seconds left to go. Joe Bach, the injured player for Chicago. And you can see that Detroit led the Arena Football League in holding opponents to 25.8 points per game. They were second in takeaways, giveaways. Number one in pass defense, number one total defense.
Yeah, you can.
And let's check with Phil Graham, the trainer.
Okay. Here, get this out.
Here.
Okay.
They don't want to move him, Roger. They're cutting the pads off of Joe Bach.
No. Okay, there you go. Okay, Joe, you're going to be fine, bud.
That's more than precautionary. There may be a serious problem there. We certainly hope not, but my.
Better than 15,000 on hand here tonight, but many of the fans have left now with 53 seconds left and their team trailing 24-13. And the utmost precaution is being taken with Joe Bach, the Chicago Bruisers, 6'5", 250-pound lineman from the University of Virginia. This is what's happened as far as the scoring. Ingold with the 1-yard run, and then Bennett passing to McDade. It was tied at 7 after 1. Second quarter, Holman the 8-yard touchdown run, and then Brown from 2 yards out, and that made it 21-7 at halftime. Third quarter, there was no scoring, and then in the fourth quarter, Stone the 10-yard run, missed extra point, and then Bojovic the 17-yard field goal, and 24-13.
And Roger, they have just rolled Joe Bach over onto his back and are now putting him on the stretcher board, preparing to lift him up. Again, not a very pretty sight down here. Had to cut his pads off of him. They just don't want to move until they know the extent of the injury. Again, as you said, he felt the tingling in his arms, in his shoulders, and in his feet. And that's something that you don't want to mess with when it comes to injuries, those head and neck injuries.
Well, Steve, he said that he hit face first, and that could mean that the neck snapped back. And the artificial surface here, of course, inside, no different really from an outdoor artificial surface field. I mean, the same sort of configuration as far as the padding underneath.
It is. I mean, it's like every surface, as you say, so it is firm, hard underneath, but there is the padding there to try to protect you. But again, very difficult to protect against injuries like this.
So this coming with 53 seconds left to go. Chicago will have the football eventually when Joe Bach is taken off on the stretcher and play is resumed. The Bruisers with no timeouts remaining. But the clock will stop here in the final minute on incomplete passes and out of bounds.
Joe Bach with the neck brace on now. It has been a long delay. And he lies still on that stretcher as they take him out and to the hospital for observation.
Will Aaron Perrin please report to the PA section just above the time?
53 seconds left to go. Willie Totten has come in at quarterback. Ben Bennett will play no more. in this Arena Bowl championship game. Skipper, the intended receiver, and he drops the ball. That'll stop the clock with 49 seconds left. And boy, Steve, poor Willie Totten 0 for 8.
Yeah, he's, you're coming off the bench. You haven't played in the last couple of weeks, and you're expected to pull something out of the fire, but that's what backup quarterbacks do. In defense of Totten that time, he had Corker hanging all over him as he tried to make that pass.
2nd down and 10. Skipper catches that one, and no, they say he was out of bounds. Boy, Alvin Reddick really came flying over the top that time.
Hey, Reddick looked like a high jumper.
Didn't he?
He scaled everybody. Got up right over the middle, tried to knock that pass down. We've seen Reddick do that a couple of times, running the ball, diving over the pack, and now on defense, diving over the blockers, trying to get to the quarterback, Willie Totten.
44 seconds remain. 3rd down and 10. Akins with the reception and out of bounds, and the clock will stop at the 20. So 38 seconds left to go. Take a look at Totten now. He's got some time and finally finds a receiver and hits him right on the numbers. And once again, the clock stopping on out of bounds incomplete passes in the final minute. From the 20 now, 1st and 10. Akins again, but he drops it. Evans put the good stick on him. And with 34 seconds left to go, they'll come back to the 20.
And it's been that kind of game for Akins all evening long. Totten has the ball on the money, the shot in the back, and Carl cannot hang on to it. And again, Detroit is going to give up those short passes all night. Or as much time as there is left, 34 seconds. They just don't want to get beat deep here.
2nd and 10. Totten going to Taylor. And 2 men back there on the coverage, which makes you wonder, how come Evans and Tate Randall and even 22 Griffin, Steve, were all in that general area?
Well, again, the defensive backs are playing deep off of their men to guard against just this case. And in that time, in that situation, 2 guys ended up playing on the receiver downfield. Roger, if you could be down here on the field level watching John Corker, this guy is a real athlete, and he's coming every single down. He has not quit yet.
And Billy Poe, number 50, is the man that's trying to block him at the top of your screen. 3rd down, Totten gets rid of it. Akins catches it, and he's out of bounds for a 1st down at the 18-yard line with 23 seconds left to go.
And Reddick once again took to the air. This guy's flown more than I have this Arena football season. Look at him. I mean, it looks great. It doesn't do a whole lot of good for you. You don't get to the quarterback that way, but it sure looks exciting.
1st and 10. They need a quick score here and a chance to kick it off and get it back. Totten, Taylor's interfered. Boy, I'll tell you what, Taylor put a move on Tate Randall that time, Steve. And Randall, being the veteran that he is, just knew he was beaten, just turned around and grabbed him. That'll be an 8-yard penalty.
That's right. You're not going to give up a penalty to the point of infraction. It's just going to be 8 yards from the line of scrimmage, so why not? Don't give up the touchdown. Just grab him, tackle him if you have to. Tate Randall's a smart player. He's been around for a few years.
Now, the officials are moving it to the 5-yard line. Let's listen to this.
Intentional pass interference against the defense.
Well, now, intentional pass interference we've seen all season long.
And this is the first time it's been called.
Yeah, well, it's a championship game, so you got to get all the calls in tonight, I guess. You don't have another shot this season. Use them all up.
1st and goal from the 5, 18 seconds left to go. Deflected and, nearly intercepted. LaFrance was right there and couldn't hold on to it. You know, Steve, one thing that we haven't pointed out, if by chance Chicago can get in immediately. And then we have seen it several times this year. Kickoffs off the net, recovered in the end zone for a touchdown. Stranger things have happened, but they've only got 14 seconds to go.
You bet it. I'm standing here just below this net, and as I look up at it, it's a lot of surface area. That ball can come off at any angle.
Totten reaches and gets to the one, but they don't have any timeouts. And the clock is going to wind down. There are no timeouts left. Why in the world you'd run it, I have no idea, but it's over. Tim Markham, for the second year in a row, has won the Arena Bowl. Final score, the Detroit Drive 24 and the Chicago Bruisers 13. Let's go down to Steve Rabel.
All right, Roger, thank you very much. We are going to chat very briefly with Jim Foster, the commissioner of the Arena Football League. Jim, your impressions of the game tonight, and what does the future hold for Arena Football?
Well, this is a great way to cap off our first full season of operation. This is the first sellout we've ever had. A tremendously enthusiastic crowd. I thought a real good football game overall. A lot of competition out there. These guys were really hitting tonight. This was a very intense battle that we saw here tonight.
And we'll all be back again next year?
Yes, we will. The 6 teams we came in with this year will be back. They all committed on a multiple-year basis. You don't do this overnight, but when you get a game like tonight, this certainly helps as we go forward. We had, I think, about 12 cities here tonight looking for next year.
Jim, we appreciate all the help you and your staff have given us, and again, great shows this season by the Arena football teams. Jim Foster, the commissioner, and Detroit wins Arena Bowl this year. Let's toss it back upstairs to Roger.
Okay, Steve, thank you. 24-13, the final score, and of course, every week we choose our Ironman player of the game, and we're very pleased to announce that Steve Griffin is our Little Caesars Ironman player of the game. He had a couple of interceptions tonight, and he caught 5 passes for over 50 yards. So Steve Griffin, our Little Caesars Ironman player of the game. And we'll be back to Chicago in a moment.
Yes, I'd like 2 of those pizzas.
Those pizzas? They'll be $17.99.
$17.99? But it says $10.99.
Not for those pizzas.
How can that be?
I think if you refer to the fine print.
Fine print?
It's not vendor responsible.
May I help you?
Who are you?
I'd like to introduce our corporate attorney. He's here on a regular basis.
No, I'm not surprised.
At Little Caesars, you always get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price.
Pizza.
Only at Little Caesars.
You've got this all wrong. You want to make news of the cereal today, you need a gimmick. Putting a whole banana inside a little bran biscuit, stuff like that. These are just flakes. I don't think I've tasted anything like it. Simple, light, it's really very good. Well, how about that? A cereal that doesn't need a gimmick.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Corn Flakes?
Taste them again for the first time.
Now, the final chapter, students, in Bosworth's book of etiquette, personal hygiene. How will you separate yourselves from those barbaric hordes that exude a most malodorous air? New Right Guard Sports Stick from Gillette. Maximum protection and a fresh new scent. A veritable olfactory medley. New Right Guard Sports Stick. Anything less would be uncivilized. Raise your glasses, gentlemen, to civilization.
Since you don't buy a refrigerator every day.
I should have bought a Frigidaire! I finally got a Frigidaire.
Ask for the one that lasts and lasts.
I should have bought a Frigidaire. I finally got a Frigidaire.
For the Frigidaire dealer nearest you, call 1-800-451-7007.
I'll take the Frigidaire. Now.
Frigidaire, here today, here tomorrow.
We're back in Chicago. Detroit wins the second Arena Bowl. The final score 24-13, and now with the presentation of the Little Caesars Trophy is Jim Foster. Jim?
On behalf of the Arena Football League, I'd like to have Mr. Chris Illich of Little Caesars, one of our major sponsors, present the Little Caesars Cup.
Coach Markham, here's the trophy presentation from Mr. Illich from Little Caesars.
Coach Markham, on behalf of Little Caesars Pizza and the entire Illich family, I want to congratulate you on a great season of Arena Ball. Congratulations.
And I tell you what, on behalf of the Illich family, we accept.
Yeah!
Also, we accept this on behalf of the greatest sports town in the United States,
Detroit, Michigan.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Tim, I got to ask you very quickly, which is best, the first one or the second
They're
championship?
both the same. I promise you, they're both the same.
Both the same. Detroit wins it. Let's go back upstairs to Roger.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Final score once again, Detroit 24, Chicago 13. Detroit 9 consecutive victories to close out the season. And a very happy Tim Markham, his second full victory in a row.
Stay tuned for the number to call for your free issue of Consumer Reports and your free gifts. How smart a shopper are you when you're faced with all the different models, different features, and different prices?
Almost too many choices. These speakers are detachable.
And what about salespeople?
I get confusing opinions.
Now get the answer before you go shopping in Consumer Reports. Call now for your free issue of Consumer Reports. Then decide. When our bill arrives, pay it and get 11 more issues, 12 in all, for just $18. Or write cancel on the bill, return it, and owe nothing. If you do subscribe, you'll get the Medicine Show and the 1988 Buying Guide issue, all with your paid subscription, and all for just $18. Consumer Reports will make you a smarter shopper, too. Call toll-free 1-800-544-1000. That's 1-800-544-1000.
Once again, the final score in ArenaBowl 88. The Detroit Drive 24, the Chicago Bruisers 13. I want to remind you, SportsCenter coming up next here on ESPN. ArenaBowl 88 has been brought to you by your local Little Caesars, where you get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price. And by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, the taste adults have grown to love. They're great. I'd like to thank everyone with the Chicago and Detroit franchises for their help, and our producer-director, Chet Forty. For Steve Rabel, this is Roger Twibell saying so long from the Rosemont horizon. The final score, Detroit 24 and Chicago 13. Thank you so much for joining us this year on ESPN for Arena Football, Detroit, the 1988 champion. Good night, everybody.